Hey everybody, what's happening? So the reason why you're seeing my face right now before the True Gamer podcast starts is because we ducked up. We ducked up hard. When I say we, I mean Sheps and Ethan, obviously. I had nothing to do with this. Just because I run all the tech and because I'm in charge with making sure everything's running correctly before we record, that doesn't mean I had anything to do with it. It was clearly stuff out of my control. Clearly it was Sheps and clearly it was Ethan. What the mother truckers did was forgot to record the audio through these microphones for the first 45 minutes of the podcast. I'm not gonna lie, it's very different to what we normally sound like, because the only audio that was available was the audio that was recorded through the built-in microphones on these cameras that we have. It's not the best, okay? You still can hear us and understand us fine. There's not like background stuff or anything like that, but it sounds a lot more echoey than what you're hearing right now and what you guys are used to with the awesome new microphones we bought. I'm sorry guys, really sorry. I'll make sure to double check these. In fact, every time when we do these things, I'm like, okay, let me check again, let me check 1,000 times again, but I don't know, slipped my mind this time. Anyway, hope you guys enjoy the show regardless. We have a great conversation, and feel free to go check out Ethan's links in the description. He's got a really cool channel if you're new around here. Yeah, enjoy the show, guys. Enjoy. Everybody, and welcome back to the True Gamer podcast, a podcast hosted by two gamers for you, the true gamers. I'm one of your hosts, Eddie, along with my bro, the inverted gamer himself, Sheps. How's it going, bro?
It's going really good, actually. Yeah, going very good. Except we have one of the four anchors with us today.
Yes, it's guys. As you noticed recently, we've had at least one of the four anchors on many of our shows.
Yeah.
We are contractually obliged to get those guys on every now and
we
again.
signed up to help like those less fortunate than ourselves. It's like a charity thing, but like we weren't expecting it to be
Make-A-Wish
such.
Foundation type thing and whatnot. It's really unfortunate. But yeah, we have Ethan, otherwise known as Fishy, otherwise known as the arsonist himself. How you doing, bro?
The arsonist himself. I like how Sheps has several different aliases, and then I'm just an arsonist. It's the worst part is, you know, that picture that you're thinking about. I didn't even start that fire. The firefighters themselves did.
Yeah, that's what you say. That's what they're all around there.
Likely story.
In that photo, all the firefighters are looking at the fire. They're like, "How did it get started?" Little do they know, right behind them, the arsonist is like, "Oh, fucking get you." Well,
no, they passed me that metal stick and metal pole and went, right, beat the shit out of our fire engine, and I had to oblige. The worst part is I'm not even joking. That's more or less what they asked me to do. The more context you get for that photo, the less funny it gets. But if you don't get context, it's magnificent.
He went full renegade and just started beating up a fire truck.
A poor innocent fire truck.
I went down the renegade route for this one. Every option I could get went for it.
This, by the way, is the story that he tells his therapist every time they talk about the situation. It's like,
this is the story I tell my mum.
Appointed therapist.
You're going to stick with that story. It's okay.
I've got to. If I don't stick with that story, I start to look like a crackhead. So.
Oh yeah. Start to. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, start to. Yeah. That's what's going on.
I mean, I'm not doing myself any favours. Have you seen this beard? But also, it's a bit of a mess. Like.
Hey,
I reckon I should dye it pink. I reckon I should dye it pink.
Hold on a sec. He says he doesn't want to look like a crackhead, and he says he's going to dye his beard pink.
Yeah, that'll definitely not be a crackhead.
That'll do it, won't it?
People aren't going to say, what were you on when you thought about that? No one's going to say that at all. No one.
What was I on when I thought about that? Life. I was expired from life. I couldn't be arsed, and so that's what I was thinking when I did that. Imagine me with a pink beard. I show up with a mohawk and a pink beard.
Yeah, that wouldn't suit you. I'd highly recommend that not to happen. The same way the pencil beard suits me, you should never do that.
Right.
The pencil beard suits you.
That's what everyone says. I don't know what it is. But anyway, yes, we have our bro Ethan here today to talk some gaming about some gaming news and stuff like that.
There's been gaming news.
There has been some. I mean, you're obviously only interested in the Ubisoft stuff.
Yeah.
Which,
my head's been buried under a rock for anything that isn't Ubisoft.
Exactly. Yeah, pretty much your entire life, right?
Yeah, exactly. I live to upset Ubisoft employees.
This is good.
In my spare time, I find myself standing outside Ubisoft Montreal, and every time somebody walks in, I tell them their mum's a batty crease, and they love it.
Just the pause between them as well. Like, I always said that word as one word.
Yeah, batty crease.
Yeah, it's like,
I was like,
batty crease.
Batty crease, you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Like
You've
Dusty Ute.
Yeah.
Well, Dusty Ute. Dusty crease. You can almost you can mix and match, can't you?
There's a lot of
Batty
English
Ute.
slang that is really like perfect like that.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. Batty Ute. That just means fat child.
That does,
That's
yeah.
great. That's great.
Yeah. Before we get too far into this whole
Right.
mess of nonsense that we're clearly going down, I can see the road already.
The True Gamer
Yeah.
podcast.
Yes.
And along with all of our content across both of our channels and the flagship show over on the FPN is made possible by you, the incredible Superheroes, over on patreon.com/conversations. Who do we have to thank?
We have
I could hear your arm dab.
Oh, you can hear me dab, can you?
I could hear the dab.
There we go. Diogo Dildo, Isak the Ultimate Comso, Carol Trevrivier, aka Catsper the Friendly Patron, Record Friction, Dan the Man, Jeremy Renner, that's right, an official Avenger, Martin Scorsese's Master H. Bart 12, the Midget Alo from Smallville Sabine, the former freeloader Christian, Master Chief himself, Albus Corey, Super Sus Ben Fryer, who is a clone of Eddie, and a Star Wars Encyclopedia, Adam Sunling. Star Wars Encyclopedia, Adam Sunling, and Raj Vanderlin. He's got a plan, guys. You just need to follow him on one last job, okay, boys? Thank you so much for keeping the lights and mics on and the gaming going here at Combroplations.
That's
guys.
right. You make it happen.
Yeah. We should announce one other thing, other important thing, because people don't know about this, they don't know what's going on in the community if they're sort of like not following it too closely.
Yeah.
But we have started our own Twitch channel.
That's
You
right.
have.
We've decided to...
I saw.
Twitch.tv/conversations.
That's exactly right. Link will
You
be in the
decided it was the
description.
place for the community, and then you dragged us all along with you.
Exactly. We led
and then
the
you started
charge.
streaming after everybody, because
The
I'm aware you guys
absolute
were
worst
thinking about it for ages.
The absolute worst thing is that channel is well over a year old. We had done it, and then months ago we were like, maybe we should move to Twitch and give that a try. And then I was saying, I'll do it, but then we have tech issues like the mic that Fish is actually listening to us on no longer draws power at mine for some reason, but it will draw power here because we have a better power unit.
Yeah.
So
it was just
What's the
seriously
microphone?
bad luck. Seriously bad luck.
Yeah.
It's to do with
It's
the audio
unfortunate.
interface. It's really, really bad. But what's really funny is that if we had been there just shortly before everything, it would have been cool. Like, it would have been like, hey, everyone's joining us, and we could have made the joke like, we were there first and stuff like that. But now
Well, I
it's
mean,
just...
you can still make the joke.
Well,
We're
we
still
do.
going
Oh,
to
trust me,
yeah.
we do it on the Streamcast episode we recorded today. We started.
Yeah.
Everyone's following us, you know, following
Yeah,
the
no.
footsteps of great gods, you know, that kind of stuff. Like.
I've had the... Well, I started on Twitch this week, actually.
Did you? Strange.
yeah.
Not many people have done that this week.
Yeah.
No.
right after us,
Yeah,
how
no.
weird is that?
Strange. Right after us. Yeah.
I thought to myself, right, I looked at it and went, this is pretty cool, actually. I tried Twitch back in like 2014, 2015, and I didn't get anywhere. So I was like, okay, fuck this, I'll just focus on YouTube.
Yeah.
And then everyone started streaming on Twitch recently, and I went, you know what? I want me some of this capitalism. So I went over and I started streaming over there, and I realised that it is just the platform for streaming. It's just such a good place.
The delay is so much lower.
I was
Yeah, the
stubbornly
latency is
in
nothing.
belief that it was a shithole for the longest time, and I think that wasn't very justified. I reckon if I say celery, I'll get banned, but.
That's the thing. There are certain things where it's like they're really
There are
harsh
certain
on, really stupidly
Yeah.
I
harsh
checked the
on.
guidelines last night. One of them is just impersonating people. So
What?
I think you can't. Like, does that mean you can't do impressions? Or
No,
you can't,
no,
like,
but-
I was gonna say James does dual raptor
Impersonating-
impressions all the time.
right.
No, that's impressions are imitating. Impersonating is in, pretending to be somebody else altogether,
Okay.
like having an alt account that's in somebody else's name or
Like
something
Dual
like
Raptor
that.
2 kind of thing.
Or that sort of thing. You know
Definitely
what I
not
mean?
Lasers
Trying to
HD
pretend to be
Game of
someone
Hits
else.
2.
I'm gonna make a Lasers account and pretend to be him.
Lasers
Basically,
1996, whatever he is.
I'll just be simping on my sister all the time, which is over. That's what it is.
I think the thing that made me laugh the most was a few weeks ago. Apparently, they banned the words "blind playthrough."
Yes. Have you heard this nonsense?
I heard.
I have a question. Who's gonna read the title "blind playthrough" and get offended? Blind people. Something tells me they'd have better things to do than watch Twitch.
And maybe have the inability to do as well.
I mean, I would
Yeah.
even accept it if it was a case of like, you can't use it unless you're a blind gamer. Like, blind playthrough on our platform means that blind gamers are playing through the game, and that's what people are there to watch. Okay, thin, but I'll give you that.
Yeah.
But just the haven't seen it before, therefore I'm going in blind. Very common
phrase.
Not just in English, but like in the Western world.
I find it absurd.
It's a pretty common phrase. Like, when you haven't done something before, you go in blind. Pretty much around the world.
But no, clearly you're talking about it in a derogatory manner towards blind people. Clearly.
It's a bit of a redundant rule. You know, when you're leaving a shop sometimes and the sign says no exit, you just think to yourself, what are you going to do? Kick me out?
Yeah.
Right.
Oh man, yeah. That's so Twitch has been quite fun. I have to say the whole reason why a lot of us didn't move was because our audience was mainly on YouTube. And it was like, get people to go to another place. It's going to be hard. Not many people will. I mean, we've got nearly 900 subscribers here on the new channel.
Yeah,
which is brilliant.
And we haven't actually mentioned it just yet, but I have 1,000 people.
1,000.
Yeah, hopefully we can get that pretty soon.
Yeah.
Smash 1,000. Smash it hard.
I'm gonna smash it with my.
You're the Combros boys.
Done.
You can absolutely fucking do
This
it.
one is going
Shout
up
to the
on-
rest of the world. Smash that 100 subscribers. We'll
it's,
get that sorted in no time. I bet.
It's a weird one because I was expecting, because when we started second channel, it was a test because we weren't sure.
Yeah.
And it did prove what we thought, which was that Conversations is shadow banned or blacklisted somehow.
Somehow.
I wonder why.
Right. Yeah.
No one could know.
It's
no one could
impossible
know.
to tell. And Ed's doing his best to find out.
Yeah, I'm
exactly
trying.
what action.
Some of the shit you
gets
posted on there back in day was pretty teetering on pornography.
Right.
Hey. I mean, yeah, but hey.
And so, I was expecting Conversations to grow a little bit quicker, but the point of making the channel was proved, and I think the reason that we've left Conversations sort of in the wind a little bit is because it cannot grow.
Yeah.
We've put in the work to check that, and it won't grow. But this has grown phenomenally from nothing. And so we're starting to hit the growth curve, so it'll be good to see the channel take off a bit, especially if we're going to stream and either cross-pollinate or whatever, but it's going to be good fun. On the streaming talk, because Twitch is a place to stream games.
Yes.
And this is the True Gamer podcast.
I like the connections going on there. I like it.
This piece of content was made possible by cyberbullying.
Yes.
Over on patreon.com/conversations at the $5 tier. These awful human beings who basically said to us, unless you make this podcast, we will stop the Schneider Cut from being released.
Alright, okay.
We will keep the low saturation on Superman's suit.
Oh, no.
Batman's going to kill people.
Yes, that's what they said.
Because that's something we care about.
Doesn't Batman kill people anyway?
Well, I mean, let's not bring out the obvious points and then put them in people's faces
Let's
now.
not talk about facts, Ethan.
Yes, let's not talk about facts. Come on now.
I mean,
so,
yeah.
those people at the $5 tier, over on patreon.com/conversations, who support us at the True Gamer tier, who get, by the way, extras like the Conversations podcast, which you can too for as little as $1 a month, who also get, is it 10% off on our merch store? 15% off on our merch store, which actually that's none of this.
I was going to say this one, that one.
This is our merch.
And the pillow.
And the pillow.
Yeah.
We actually do have some great
I have a
Oh,
fishy
this is-
pillow actually,
You do. It's quite cool, isn't it?
so people can see how shit it is. I mean, how lovely it is.
I'll
We'll just cut
block out his video.
Yeah, we lost the video feed.
Oh, we lost the
Dave.
video
Oh no,
feed.
you've lost the video. Look at it. If I hold it there for the entire
Definitely
time,
don't
you've
check
got
the
a
links
hefty
down in the
budget
description
for
as well for Ethan's stuff.
No, don't do that. Don't do that.
No, you don't have to do that. It's just funny that I've got a fucking fishy pillow. I've also got you know those plush seal things. Why is my camera so blurry?
My
Hang on.
chick's got one of them.
Yeah, but
fishy
my
plush
brother.
seal.
No, it's just a plush seal, a random
okay.
one, not merchandise at all. My brother gave me one for Christmas. I don't understand why. I think he was running low on ideas, and he wrapped it in an Israeli flag.
Okay, I feel like let's not pick at that scab.
There's too many questions.
There's so many questions on this gaming podcast. So the people that support us at $5 tier and above, patreon.com/conversations, our true gamers and above are
Jeremy Horde, Sab2557, Raj, Record Friction, Real Kermit Cinema, Diogo, and isn't it silly when you're getting
Willie.
Haute Cuisine by Mary Atoni Karami, but the student uprising had built a barricade and nothing. Adam Sunderland, that was. I need to know more what the hell was going on there, mate. Dan, Catsbacoral, Isak Manny, Doc Nutella, Super Whale Ben, Albiscori, Tim Allen is a cunt.
Just randomly.
It's so random.
Tim Allen is a cunt.
It sounded like that was a personal
hard
message.
T. Hard. Hit him with the hard T.
Jesus Christ. Somebody really does not like Buzz Lightyear.
No.
Jesus.
Hooded Dude, Benedict Clobbers, Batfam527, Max H, Fishy, Christian0210, The Jackal, Cobra SS, Jack Nicholas, and Joe McCormack. Thank you, true gamers, for being here, supporting us, making everything happen.
Yeah, we appreciate
and for all the cyberbullying and all that stuff right there.
We do appreciate it.
Yeah, we do. Guys,
Yes.
thank you for joining me here today. We have quite a big topic ahead of us. So, the last episode we spoke about the Bethesda deal with Microsoft, with Xbox, and we had our theories about what was going to happen. Now, we recorded that the moment that they did the day before they did that round table part.
Yeah.
So we got the information that the acquisition went through, and there was a little statement that came out, and the most important part of that statement, I'll read that out for you right here. It says, gamers should know that Xbox consoles, PC, and Game Pass will be the best place to experience new Bethesda games, including some new titles in the future that will be exclusive to Xbox and PC players.
Okay.
That was the important part of the whole thing, right? And we went off of that and we had our theories. We said, blah, 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 this is going to happen, that's going to happen, blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
I felt like we covered it quite well and it was fairly level-headed. After that came out, obviously, they had the round table and they had a little bit more of a discussion, and there were some new words that came out, some that I'm going to talk about right here, and we can discuss that. However, our last video was flooded with Xbox fanboys. Not the good people like Dan. Not the good people like Dan. The crazies. And they're all on the like, this one aged badly, this one said this. And then when you look at the new quote, doesn't change anything.
Yeah, nothing's different.
Nothing changes.
Yeah.
Now,
so nothing has changed. You covered it quite well, and all the Xbox fanboys are in your comment section going, "This aged like milk" and all that stuff, and it's like,
exactly.
no, you're just stupid. Please.
And they're making up stuff as well.
I
They
beg.
come out with their own quotes. They're like, Phil Spencer said that every Xbox exclusive is good. Every Bethesda game is going to be exclusive to Xbox, and I'm like,
Phil Spencer did not say that.
No, and I
imagine if
the
the Elder
quote
Scrolls
and I
6
put
was
it in.
exclusive to. But imagine if the Elder Scrolls 6 was exclusive to Xbox. That'd just be
There'll be a gaming
first things
uprising.
first. It's not like people would care because on PlayStation it's not exactly gonna run very well anyway because it's
They're
a Bethesda
famous
Game
for
Studios
not-
game and they're optimized
Bethesda-
like arse.
Yeah, they don't
for their
run well.
best platforms.
But I mean, just from a business decision, why would you get rid of 110 million consoles?
Yeah.
Potential users. You wouldn't. It doesn't make sense.
Well, there are
I
some
guess
stupid
there's
business
the opposite
decisions
end of the
over there.
scales.
They spent 7.5 billion on Bethesda. That's not a good business deal. They clearly don't know.
Yeah, no, it's a lot of fuck it money for a company that released Fallout 76.
Right.
No, I think if were I, some big man, if some big man over at Xbox ends, I'd be like, right, let's make some absolute banger exclusives. Yeah, that would be the first thing on my mind.
Yeah.
But I feel like Phil Spencer and Xbox on the whole, they see themselves as too much of a team player to do that, and they've always echoed that gaming is for everybody. We don't want to restrict people, stuff like that. No bullshit. But you're literally allowing yourself to be done up the arse by your competition.
Yeah.
And so
Also,
it
it doesn't work out as actually being pro-consumer.
That's the thing. They've been trying to project the pro-consumer look this whole time.
I think I don't actually know where it will land
because
on
pro-consumer means bringing out really good things that your consumers want, like God of War.
Which they don't do.
Although we were challenged to do a True Gamer without mentioning God of War, Ghost of Tsushima, stuff like that.
It's going to be tough to do that.
Well, you failed.
We failed already, guys.
Just reading out I challenge you to do this.
Get fricked. Let me pitch the question of the show, which I think might be the title if things work out. I did write it down here, and I thought it would be quite a cool title. Okay, apparently I didn't write it down here. Okay.
Well, there you go.
Oh, no, here it is. Okay, so this was going to be the topic of the show, and it could be the title and whatnot. We'll see. You guys can let me know if I nailed it. Should PlayStation be scared of Xbox now? Now that this deal has been put through. That's my initial reaction as well. I did want to have a little conversation about it to see what things have been happening, where they're poised to go in the future, and we'll weigh everything one by one. Because I do feel like this is a good move for Xbox on the Xbox that we know as don't have many games that people are interested in, have been struggling for the past 7 and a bit years. This is a good move for them. But is it something that PlayStation should be quaking in their boots over there and go, oh, we need to do something, we need to get out of here? Because, again, these Xbox, the people that are the worst of the gaming scene and whatnot, they genuinely believe that they have won the console war with this Bethesda acquisition.
The classic console war, that thing that everyone claims exists.
Everyone's
but
all on
it doesn't really
It
exist.
doesn't exist. PlayStation just won.
It's just one person's winning.
Yeah, so these Xbots, did you call them? These Xbox fanboys.
There's Xbots and then there's Sony ponies. They're the two.
Sony ponies.
I'm going to say that we won when the PS4
I'll take Sony pony all day long. I love me a bit of Sony ponies. They should make a game called Sony Ponies and release it exclusively on the PS5. I'd play that.
That would be funny. That'd be so meta.
It would be out of nowhere, and you'd just have to go, yes.
I guess I'll have to try it.
You have to, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
There is no. You'd have to try to keep it in just the utter madness of that. Xbox. I think if you consider yourself to be a diehard Xbox fan today, as in now, having gone through all the years of shit that's happened with Xbox not really meeting expectations in the last generation, it sucked fundamental cock, is what I'm trying to say. And if you're still an Xbox fan now, of course you're going to be a smidge delusional. Because there's no other nice way to put it.
That's what I was going to say. That it's pretty much like beating wife syndrome, isn't it? Where you've been beaten all of these years, and then suddenly, if the husband decides, I'm going to be just a little bit nicer, that little bit nicer is going to seem like, oh, this is the best thing in the world. They've had such a bad streak for the past couple of years that this little smidge of hope seems better.
I think it's different. I think to Xbox, the Xbox bots think it's like, look, if you've only ever had a cheese sandwich or a tomato sandwich, you have a preference. I prefer tomato sandwiches, right? They don't realise that over here is our perfect burger with the brioche buns and the steak and the onions and all that stuff. They don't realise that. So they're like, I prefer tomato to thing. What do they have over there? Not this tomato sandwich, right? They don't know what they're missing because they haven't had really good exclusives since, 2007? Halo 3, right, was the last really good thing that was out on Xbox, as far as I can tell. So that's kind of a thing. So I think it's really more that they are clueless.
They're accustomed to Xbox and they think it's the best you get. I think that's probably the best way to put it. It's that Xbox fans are essentially North Korean citizens or something.
There you go. Yeah, they get the propaganda. They believe the propaganda.
They get the propaganda. They feel like they're getting the best of everybody, when in reality that's not necessarily the case.
That's actually a perfect description, right?
It is pretty good.
Fuck, I didn't think of that.
It is pretty good. To answer the question, should Sony be scared?
Brains.
No, not unless Xbox brings out a character-focused single-player RPG with an incredible story that's a brand new IP that's only on Xbox, and I mean only on Xbox, on Xbox and Game Pass, and on Xbox.
Yeah.
At least to start with, and then we can say, oh, it looks like Xbox is stepping up their game. Maybe at some point in the future, if they keep doing this, there'll be a threat. But no is the answer right now, because they don't have any.
Yeah, it's not
So let me.
It's not a threat, no.
Let me
But
read
Xbox
out.
isn't trying to be necessarily. So I
Are
don't think
they
Sony
not,
has to
though?
be concerned in that front. They're not trying to
should
compete
be,
directly. They might be
they're
trying
not.
to indirectly through generating sales from Game Pass and stuff like that.
I mean-
but they don't want to. They don't want to up the exclusive game and take away that incentive to have a PlayStation
I don't
by
think-
having that incentive with Xbox.
I don't think it's not that they don't want to. It's that they don't have a choice. They don't have anything that will take anyone
that's
away
probably
from.
more accurate.
Yeah, they don't have
but
anyone
like
that
I
will
said-
take away from anybody.
But like I said, with Xbox and Phil Spencer and company, I think they all see themselves as team players.
There's no way. There's no way.
Personally, I don't believe
know.
it. But go ahead. You can. If
No,
you
they see themselves as team players, and not in the sense that they are. No, but in the sense that they want to come across as such.
They want to
because-
come across. That's
Oh
true.
yeah, they definitely want
That's
you to believe
definitely-
the lie for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I
I
love
don't know
you,
if they,
babe, there's
I don't
no
know if
one
they
else.
believe they're lying, but I think
I think
they're definitely playing business tactics of we're behind.
I think
but-
when you read Phil Spencer's or listen to Phil Spencer's comments, they're worded in such a very specific way that
Yeah.
there is no way he doesn't know he's misselling you. He's
This is-
specifically not saying certain things and saying things
Oh, that's
a very
fair enough.
certain way that they
Yeah.
know exactly what they're going to give you, and that if they say exactly what it is, no one will buy it.
Speaking of
Ah.
that, I'm going to read you the Bethesda Roundtable quote. What they
So I-
said right there. That people,
Okay.
some make the Xbox are taken, the level-headed people will probably stay a bit quiet. They're going to see how things are going to turn out. Cool. Then the people that are saying Xbox have won the console war because they've got all these titles and that everything's exclusive. Let me read this out, and this is what they've taken away
Yeah.
from it. All because of
Everything's
Phil
exclusive.
Spencer's vague and ambiguous wording. So this is what he says. He says he's obviously talking about all Bethesda titles and stuff like that and how it's going to be great and blah blah blah, and then he gets to one point and he goes, obviously I can't sit here and say that every Bethesda game is exclusive because we know that's not true. There are contractual obligations that we're going to see through. We have games that exist on other platforms that we're going to support, though that we're going to go and support those games on those platforms they're on. There are communities of players we love, and those communities, and we love those communities, and we will continue to invest in them. And even in the future, there might be either contractual obligations or legacy on different platforms that we'll go to. And then he says, and this is the bit, all that stuff is like, okay, they're going to support older games and maybe current games and stuff like that. We'll see through. But the legacy part is a bit interesting. We'll come and talk about that in a second. But then he says this. But if you're an Xbox customer, the thing I want you to know is that it's about delivering great exclusive games that ship for you on platforms where Game Pass exists. That's what he says.
Xbox and PC, basically.
Basically.
Yeah.
I think there's also some people reading in too much into that, saying that, PlayStation could get Game Pass. Game Pass is not coming to PlayStation.
No, it shouldn't.
But
Imagine-
Game Pass is
imagine
coming to Nintendo. Nintendo don't want your games on
Yeah, they
on
want to be the
Nintendo.
only place to play Nintendo games.
Exactly, so just shut up about that. But people have taken that bit where it says, if you're an Xbox customer, the thing I want you to know is this is about delivering great exclusive games for you that ship on platforms where Game Pass exists. As meaning all Bethesda games in the future are exclusive to Game Pass.
Yeah,
That's not what was said. Nowhere does it say all Bethesda games are exclusive. It says delivering great exclusives. If you deliver 2 great exclusive, but you release 10 games and they're all and the other rest are
Also, what's
multi-platform, then that doesn't mean that you're delivering all exclusives. That's the thing that people are not understanding. And I keep getting in this argument. There's this one person on Twitter, which I won't mention their name. They're not really influential. They wish they were. But he keeps on
I've seen
making
it.
ridiculous statements and stuff like that. And he's like, I think
Keeps
IGN...
coming at you with gotcha moments that he thinks will absolutely put you right through the works, but no.
No.
Yeah, no, I know the type.
You know the type. And
Yeah.
I think he quote tweeted an IGN article about IGN was saying So what games are going to be exclusive and whatnot? Like
new IPs.
We still
new IPs.
That's what I would think. That's
it's not going to be the Elder Scrolls 6. It's not going to be Doom. It's not going to be Quake. It's not going to be any of those.
That's what a logical
It's going to be new
person,
IPs that nobody cares about.
That's what a logical person thinks about.
And they're like, all of them.
And that's the thing. It was like IGN was like, so which games are going to be the statement's very ambiguous and vague and whatnot. But he's like, no, it wasn't ambiguous and vague. This was completely clear cut. He said that every game is exclusive to thing, and I'm just like,
no, he didn't.
How have you got to the semi-position that you're in? You're not super famous, but you're in the middle. You're on the verge of becoming. How have you got to that position with that level of stupidity, right?
Yeah, Ethan, how have you done it?
How have I done this? I don't. Fuck. You've really just put me on the spot there. Well, it's called being funny. Try it sometime.
Oh, wow!
Okay, that was a pretty sick burn.
1 for Ethan, 0 for conversation. Shit.
Goddamn. Look, the fact is, Phil Spencer's always as vague as possible and uses like legalese all the time. It's just word kung fu, so that you never know what's going to happen, and whatever they do, he can always deliver, right? Yeah. He's always Jackie Chan at the end.
It's a good one, isn't it? It's a word kung fu.
Yeah.
That's all it is. And when they under-deliver in the games, he can over-deliver on the things that he says, and then give you a bullshit smile, right? As if they totally did what they said, which they didn't, by the way, buy the console next time around. Like, it doesn't make any sense. It has to be new IPs. It has to be. And when they say great new IPs, well, first of all, when they say new, is it new to Game Pass? New to us? Mm-hmm. New to the Xbox? New to PC? Anyway, Game Pass exists is what they said. So great and new don't mean brand new, good IPs. It means new, anything new, and great can mean a lot of different things, like high selling doesn't necessarily mean
a barometer of great for Xbox is different barometer of great to PlayStation, for example.
What about Medium? Is Medium a great title? I would probably say no, it hasn't lit the world on fire, but maybe it's got a good story or an okay story. I hear very meh things about it, but does that count? Is that one of them?
I've said this on the podcast before, but Ethan, the reason why... So I particularly don't like Phil Spencer. Do you have any strong opinions either here or there or anything like that for Phil Spencer? Or you don't really care?
Well, he's just a representative for a company.
Yeah, right. He's a suit.
Saying what, for the most part, he'll likely be told to say.
Yeah.
It's not. I don't have any personal resentment toward the man himself, and I don't actually have anything against Xbox altogether. But I am aware that it's just Microsoft. You know what I mean? I'm aware that that's just.
It's just a company at the end of the day, isn't it?
It's just a company. Yeah. It is a company, and at the end of the day, there's only one thing that matters to a company of that size, and that's making sure that they're in the green.
Yep. The thing is that most people who are Xbox fans, the delusional ones, I should say, the Xbox, they see Phil Spencer as the savior of gaming. They call him that all the time, and I'm like, oh my god, this is so bad.
I got there personally, but
exactly.
What? Because he said gaming on a stage. He's the savior of gaming. Everybody.
That's what he does, and that's the reason why I don't like it.
And he says he's pro-consumer, and nothing they do is actually pro-consumer, in my opinion.
That's the reason why I don't like him, because the way that he speaks, like Shep said, with the word kung fu, and the way that he keeps saying these buzzwords like gamer and pro-consumer and Game Pass and stuff like that.
He is a bit of a... He's one of them.
I'm like, you sound like an American politician back when 9/11 was happening. You just need to say Osama bin Laden, 9/11, and support the troops, and then we're going to vote for you in the next presidential election. That's the kind of thing. I'm like, you sound so scummy. Like there's scummy tactics going on here.
People aren't smart enough to understand what you really mean, so you say the basic.
Exactly, and then that's insulting to me. It's like you think I'm stupid, that I'm just going to go along with you because you said gamer. And I'm like, that's not how that works.
Also, nothing.
Meanwhile, Xbox are like, yeah,
yes, they are, the savior of gaming, right here.
Right.
He definitely sits at home and plays games for hours on end every night, like me. He's just like me. Besides the fact that he's probably
a multi-millionaire who is not just like you and doesn't play any games.
And likely doesn't play games. No, he's too busy getting about in his supercar.
Yeah, exactly.
Or whatever he owns.
Everything that they actually say is back to front. So when they say they're pro-consumer, they're not really, and they're not even pro-dev. Everything they're doing is about trying to get a number of people onto their platform, which is Game Pass, not the console, which again is not pro-consumer, because if the console doesn't make any money, then they're not ever incentivized to improve it, like the PS5 did. Massive improvements on every fun.
And services can shut down, and if you have a hardware, then you have obligation to support that for at least a number of years and whatnot.
Right. And so it isn't pro-consumer because they've never once pushed storytelling in gaming or game development or technological development forward. That's pro-consumer, making improvements on your hardware, on your software, on your IPs, on your story, or bringing up new IPs. That's pro-consumer. And what they did is just say, well, there's a lot of games, so let's get access to a lot of games and stick it on our service. That's also not pro-consumer.
Yeah.
Right? It's just funneling it in. Now, it would be pro-consumer if that was the only place that you could get access to these games. Like if it was the first Netflix was a really great idea back in the day, but now
there's about 20 streaming services.
Right, the thing that made Netflix unappealing, which was you could go there and get everything. Now everyone's realised it's a money grab, and there's 20 different versions of it.
There's Disney Plus, there's Amazon Prime Video, there's
exactly, and now we're
all
back
other kinds
to
that I've forgotten
exactly
about.
the problem that Netflix was solving. Right.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the deal. Is
you go around in circles.
Right.
First, Netflix solves the problem, and then other streaming services pop up, and then the problem's back.
Yeah.
Exactly, and I would argue that the PS Plus collection shits on Game Pass.
We actually have.
I haven't looked into it, but so far so good. You know what I mean?
Especially because they announced. I'll bring this up now because it's come up naturally in conversation. The Play at Home initiative that they did with they gave Ratchet and Clank away like last month. They updated it. They've given away an extra 10 games in that whole list. Some of them not the most amazing games in the world. I'll read a couple of them out for you here. Astro Bot.
Price point for me though,
which is free for anyone as well, not necessarily a PlayStation Plus subscriber, so you can just
PS5
be free.
owner.
Exactly, just free. Astrobot VR, Subnautica, The Witness, Abzu, Moss, but crucially, one game that is AAA, at least big budget, Horizon Zero Dawn.
There you go.
They're giving away amazing big IPs that they have for free.
No, but Xbox is pro-consumer though.
But Xbox is pro-consumer because they've got a lot of titles on there.
I will say, and this isn't because I want to beat Xbox in this thing.
Yeah.
Horizon Zero Dawn hits a lot of things on the head. The imagery is fantastic. The world they build is fantastic. Yeah. I have beefs in particular with Aloy, but other than that, it's a really good game, and I love the aesthetic and all that stuff. Yeah. That is a AAA title, and despite having what I would say is a very meh main character, shits all over anything in the last generation that Xbox put out that's exclusive. What competes?
Plants vs Zombies.
There we go.
Right, there you go.
There you go. Plants vs Zombies. Horizon Zero Dawn. One's a few dozen hours worth of RPG experience in a wonderful world full of stuff to learn and explore and experience, and the other's Plants vs Zombies in a garden someplace.
There you go.
Which do you think?
Pro-consumer
will win there? I reckon Plants vs Zombies has got it. You want to know why? Because sometimes you look at a plant and you go, I wonder if this thing could kill a zombie. That is what I've always wanted to know. I go downstairs, Mum's planting shit in the garden, and I'm like, right, okay. Do you reckon it could kill a zombie though?
Yeah,
good
Mum looks at me like, what the fuck are you on about, Ethan? And I'm like, you see, it's important because one day, listen, a different kind of plant is what I'm smoking. But I want to know if it could kill a zombie.
You need to know. These are important questions.
My mum's like, Ethan, listen, zombies don't exist.
Is only found
I need to know.
Exactly.
It boggles my mind, and this isn't about like picking the winning side or the losing side. Like, I don't want the people on Xbox to be like, oh no, I picked wrong. Like, I understand. James made a pretty
in an ideal world.
James made a pretty compelling argument for why he likes Game Pass and his Xbox.
Yeah.
And I definitely take that.
Yeah.
Especially if you do like going back and playing older titles and stuff.
Like it's a good console, isn't it? It just needs games.
Exactly.
It just needs exclusives.
That's exactly it.
Which brings me to this question that I asked about should PlayStation be scared now? Because while they haven't gone the PlayStation route, which is by a studio who either has made games for you before or foster a new studio, like the way they did with Kojima and the way they did with that Jade. Who's the Jade Raymond? They also
Jade Raymond. She worked on Assassin's Creed, didn't she?
She did work. The only thing he knows, obviously, that's one of the many games.
Well, obviously, because she was one of the people who left, and then it went to shit.
Yeah.
So
they paid her a a sum of money to make their first game exclusives like they did with
that'll
Death
be banging.
Stranding.
Yeah.
And it's going to be, and she started her own indie studio with it, which is a great way to foster new life into the gaming industry, which is pro-consumer, because then the gaming industry grows and whatnot.
also the gaming industry grows with good games.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this is the question that posed me, and I wanted to have this discussion with you. Now they have Bethesda, they've gone the brute force route, where they've bought a company that's already established, already has established IPs, that maybe they can hope brings out another game and brings them on the map. Is there any possibility that Bethesda stop being Bethesda and stop making games that don't function, and they've come out of this rut where they've just been making bad game after bad game after bad game, with the exception of Doom as well. Doom's very good.
But that's not Bethesda,
that's id. I was going to say, that's id. Do you think they could come out of this and then they could get a good game and then maybe possibly put some heat on the PlayStation?
Oh, are you thinking that Xbox might rejuvenate Bethesda on the whole and put them back in a position to make better games? Is that what you're trying to say?
I don't think Xbox has any ability to do that.
Not as a suggestion, but as a.
There's definitely no way that
But there's
Bethesda
a funding aspect.
Looks at this and goes, they've bought us with what we've made. We can just sit back and keep doing what we've been doing. There's no way that happens.
That's a good point.
There's no way.
That's a good point.
The only way I see Bethesda or anyone from Bethesda doing this, and this is what I think I said this before, is if I were to do it, I would go in and grab every single person that has authority issues. I'd get all of the misfits and have them brainstorm something crazy. Or, and it doesn't have to be brand new. This is the thing with
Shep swoops in, gets the misfits.
No, for real, because
to be fair, if it's all those people, it'd be good.
Everyone that's sticking to the party line is making trash.
Yeah.
So you need the people that keep getting told off because no, it's too ambitious. No, we don't have the time. No, it's going to cost too much. Right? I want those guys, the people with ideas and passion.
Yeah, no, people who actually want to do things.
Right. And then you get those together, and either you come up with a brand new idea, which can be very difficult, or, and here's the kicker, is a new title doesn't have to be a brand new IP. Don't they own Banjo-Kazooie?
Is it Bethesda that owns Banjo-Kazooie?
Xbox owns it.
Xbox. I think Xbox. No, wait, do they?
I guess they can outsource their IPs to Bethesda.
I can't remember which studio makes
it,
but Xbox owns the studio, and they did them dirty. I forget what the thing is.
Let's see.
We all say it and it will click into place. Because they made something recently, they announced they were going to make something, and it wasn't Banjo-Kazooie.
Oh no, sorry, yeah, they own. Do they own Rare? I think they own Rare, which is owned by the Xbox.
So like, you've got Banjo-Kazooie. That's a well-regarded, well-loved title. Make a new title for it, right? It doesn't have to be a brand new IP. It can be the next installment, but you have to focus on a story-driven game. Make it fun. Make it good. Look, Crash Bandicoot did it.
Yeah.
Crash 4 is like one of the most awaited games. It looks amazing.
Yeah.
I haven't seen anything negative about it, right? Is it brand new? No. If you were a new studio and you had the rights to it, would you make that? Yeah, that'd be a great game to start with.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be Ghost of Tsushima out of nowhere.
So do you think then that if they were to go down that
there's no way they're doing this.
No way. Not do it, but if they did do it.
Oh yeah, if they did, there's a huge if.
Then maybe they could pull something out of the bag and maybe make Sony a little bit worried.
Totally, they could.
Yeah. Well, it is still Bethesda, so if they pull something out of the bag, it's got the reputation of Bethesda's quality.
Yeah, exactly.
On its shoulders. The issue with Bethesda that gets in the way of that is if you look at Bethesda Game Studios, they're essentially the flagship studio of Bethesda to a lot of people. Mm-hmm. I'd argue that they're only one of them, but they make games like The Elder Scrolls, Fallout. They're making Starfield right now, and their biggest issue is that they are absolutely grossly complacent is the best way to put it.
Yeah.
They are so grossly complacent that it's bordering on incompetence. In fact, I think we're well past it. It's incompetence and it's reputation riders, basically, is what they are. They're riding on the reputation of games like Skyrim, Oblivion, Morrowind, Fallout 3, New Vegas, which wasn't even them; it was Obsidian. But not everyone knows that. And I guess they're just pumping out shit. There are some bugs in Fallout 76 and Fallout 4 that were in Morrowind, which came out in 2002.
And they still didn't work that out.
And
they still didn't figure that out. In fact, there's modders out there that patch Bethesda games for them. And that's ridiculous.
Yeah, that is insane, isn't it?
Fix your own fucking games.
Yeah.
So no, there's a complacent. There's definitely that sort of issue with Bethesda Game Studios, especially. And whenever they announce something, there is a buzz about it. And I feel like if they want to keep that up, and if they want to keep up that reputation that Bethesda Game Studios had when it released Morrowind, when it released Fallout 3, or Oblivion, or Skyrim to an extent, it definitely had the reverence then. I think the crack started to show around Skyrim properly though. We all knew the issues were there beforehand, but around Skyrim it's like, right, okay, this game, we love it, but also I prefer the other Elder Scrolls games, you know what I mean? It's one of those things where it's like, it just comes out and it's like, okay, I can see the issues now. And then they just kept riding on that. Yeah. So I feel like the issue does come back to, I don't know if Microsoft will give them a kick up the backside about it, because they're very happy to just pump out shit and insult players afterwards, as they did with Fallout 76 about 25 times.
Yeah.
So if Microsoft aren't going to give them a kick up the arse, I don't think that's necessarily going to change. But if Bethesda Game Studios got themselves in gear, and I mean if they got themselves properly in gear, as Microsoft, if I were to say Phil Spencer or whatever, I would be looking for every way to capitalise on that. I'd be like, right, let's make the Elder Scrolls 6 exclusive, let's piss off all the PlayStation players. But at the end of the day, they're still going to buy an Xbox or a PC just to play this game, and we can...
It would have to be...
It would have to be out of this world insane.
To take an IP like that and make it exclusive, which I think they could do, the game would need to be like God of War levels, right?
See, that if they took that IP and made it exclusive, they'd start a war.
They would.
The children in little villages everywhere would be getting bombed. But
that's really dark.
But to answer the question, there's 3 questions: can they? Will they? Should they?
Yeah.
Right.
No. Yes.
Can they?
No, yes.
Will they? No.
Should they? Yes. Right.
Yeah.
Is it possible? Yes, it is. Do I want them to do it? Yes, I do. Are they going to do it? No, I don't think so. And I would like to be wrong about that. I'd like to be wrong. I'd like there to be a ton of games that I have to...
They're not going to make the Elder Scrolls 6 exclusive.
And even look, like
if they did, it
Fable's a good exple. Fable is going to be an exclusive, and that's a good thing. And I want that game to be incredible.
To.
Yeah, I want that game to be a game that motivates me to get an Xbox. I want that reality. I'm concerned because most of the Xbox exclusives aren't good. Not in comparison to other games, you know.
When it comes to Xbox exclusives, if there's one that from back in day I really enjoyed, Fable.
Yeah, Fables are brilliant. Fables 1 and 2 are brilliant.
Fable 2 is fantastic.
Fable 2 is fantastic.
3 is... I like Fable 3 a lot. I love Fable. There's the original.
Well, this is the thing. I was looking at it from a possible like benefit of the doubt kind of position, where I was like, they've made this acquisition. Hopefully, their idea is that they want to do something with it. Now,
it's $7.5 billion.
This is the thing. Microsoft don't make good business decisions. Game Pass itself loses money. It doesn't make money.
If they're not going to do anything with that, that's an asinine business decision. That's right? That's just top bin stupid. Like, you have to be next level dumb.
As long as they say gamer a couple times, then that's all fine.
Yeah, gamer pro consumer.
Gamer pro consumer.
Wasn't that? It wasn't 7.5 billion. Isn't that more money than it cost for Disney to acquire Star Wars? Or
I think it was. I think it was. Yeah.
Yes, it is. And I'm telling you right now, a half decent Star Wars game will sell way more than that.
Yeah.
You know, it will recover the loss. The problem is Microsoft always releases numbers about Microsoft, so you can't find the number of Series X's sold. You can't find the number of Series S's sold. You can find the number of both of them combined sold. You can find
that was another argument that someone made. They're like, we spoke about Xbox Game Pass not making money and whatnot, and they were like, what are you talking about? They announced that Xbox Game Pass made 15 million in revenue last year. It's like, no, that was Xbox services and that was revenue. They didn't talk about how much it cost to keep the service running and how much they spent on buying all of those games to put on whatnot.
Profit, not net
and then they
profit.
say 18 million people on Game Pass Pass. Okay, how many people are paying $14.99 or whatever it is? We don't know, because a bunch of those are on the 1 month free trial. A bunch of those are on the 3 months for $1 trial. We have no idea how much it's actually generating.
And how often do you come across codes for trials? Just all the time.
Everywhere.
They're fucking more. They're more common than weeds in your garden.
Yeah.
I swear I saw pictures of people using Cheez-It packets to have.
My God!
If you buy a bag of Doritos, you get more Xbox Game Pass codes than Doritos. Right? It's just they're a dime a dozen. It's not.
I'm gonna test that actually. I'm gonna go there and be like, shit, Jeps was right.
How many letters in the code?
On the inside, loads of them.
Anyway, I was coming from the point that maybe they're gonna buy this studio and they're actually gonna do something with it. So we had the idea that maybe they're going to keep all the current games multi-platform and they'll put everything on Game Pass day one, and then that's how they'll get the incentive to get people to come over to Game Pass and then they'll still make the money. Now, let's say we're not talking about the current games, we're talking about the future games. The Indiana Jones game that they announced from Bethesda.
Which had better be brilliant.
I don't see how it will be, but whatever. We'll see if that turns out to be great.
The Indiana Jones game, you know what? Probably gonna suck, but I'll play it still, and I hope it's really good.
I'll play it too, but I don't think it will be good.
I want it to be good.
I mean, come on, is it gonna be good?
The thing is, there's no. It's 99 out of 100 scenarios are losers, because if the game isn't incredible, then you've tanked Indiana Jones. It's set up completely to win.
Yeah.
Because you have Indiana Jones, you can go back and find a voice actor that sounds like Harrison Ford, which is a winner straight off the bat. And there's 4 Uncharted games and umpteen Tomb Raider games to show you how to make this thing right.
Yeah.
So if you can't, what does that say? Right, there's at least 8 games that you can.
Indiana Jones was played by Roger Clark doing his Arthur Morgan voice.
Should be Troy Baker.
I feel like that's a theory actually about it, is that Roger Clark is playing Indiana Jones, and you know what? He might not necessarily sound like Harrison Ford, but I'll allow that.
He's a great voice actor.
The point is, if the game isn't amazing, then they've got all this stuff to look at, say how to make an amazing game to do this, right? Do they go with the movies? Do they not? Tons of stuff to potentially do this. And then if it's trash, you've trashed Indiana Jones. How do you trash an IP that good with that much stuff? It's got to be amazing, or it's dead forever.
You try to revive it. That's how you trash it.
I wouldn't have done it personally.
I wouldn't have gone for it in the first place. So let me try and make this point for the third time, if you don't mind, guys. So if they do take the future IPs, they do take Indiana Jones. Let's say Starfield's already too far in development that it's probably multi-platform or whatever. Let's say the next, was it Avowed? Is it coming from thing?
Yeah.
Avowed. That's a exclusive, and they make another IP that's exclusive in the future and whatnot. And let's say, for argument's sake, they break the trend and they make a good game.
Yeah.
One that's not filled with bugs and stuff like that.
They actually finish it. It's ready to go.
Ready to go day one. Maybe a little patch on the side.
And good.
And it's actually good and people enjoy it and stuff like that. Is that one next game or the 2 next game enough to make any difference for Sony? Especially because those games that we're talking about, probably 3 or 4 years down the line.
I would say...
I don't necessarily think so, when Sony's already got this stuff more or less ready to fire.
Right?
Yeah.
They've got God of War coming out.
Say
They've got Horizon Zero Dawn coming out. They've got whatever next IP is going to be coming out. Horizon Forbidden West, sorry.
Yeah.
It's all just... Sony are too already rooted in it, and everyone already likes everything they're doing. And Xbox seem to just be spinning their wheels until the next thing. And I feel like they've been doing that since 2013.
Yeah, and since the 360 almost.
Exactly. They flopped the launch of the Xbox
Sony's
One.
got a lot of foresight with this because they know it's effective and have done it for a while. Yeah. Whereas Xbox is almost living by the daily on this one. They're just trying...
Seems to be.
Right, bang, do you remember Halo? And
Seems to be.
Happens.
Right. I think,
in 3 years, you'll be able to play Master Chief's story again.
Right, yeah. We definitely didn't sink $500 million into it. I think if they came up with some really genuinely good exclusive games, it would change the topic of the discussion. Wouldn't change the actual discussion too much, but it would stop being Xbox is dead and start being, could Xbox be coming back? Right? And then by next gen, the conversation could be, are you getting an Xbox or a PlayStation? Do I think it's likely? No, I don't think they care enough. I don't think they understand their actual business model very well. Like Ubisoft don't seem to understand what their business model is. And I don't mean that to rag on AC, but they've been...
Oh, no, Ubisoft understands exactly what their business model is. It's
well, like...
abuse
women?
Let's
pretend to be woke.
Actually,
let's
that was...
pretend to be woke and gain some
that
points
was
from
that was
but
poorly
really,
worded.
We hate women.
That was that was poorly worded. What I meant to, they absolutely do know what their business model is. I think they've
their
forgot
business
exactly
model is
what
being massive bellends.
what their ideal product can be and how it fits into their business model. That's really what I should have said, because
I know what you meant.
Yeah,
no, I
but,
agree.
like if Xbox actually brings out some good titles, a few right now, like in the early gen, not enough. But if they consistently do it this generation, it might be enough to change the discussion. But as for right now, they look this generation looks to have been a bloodbath.
Yeah,
and it's not good. It's not okay. I want a strong Xbox, but
doesn't seem like it will happen, right?
In an ideal world, everything would be good. I wouldn't have anything to talk about, but everything would be good, and I'd be okay with it. I'd be able to praise stuff all the time. I love talking about games that I really like. Like I've started recording footage for The Witcher 3: Blood and Wine, which I'm going to do a video for the 5-year anniversary of in May.
Such a good DLC.
Oh,
so
it's a
good.
Brilliant DLC, isn't it? See, I could talk about that all day long, and
so
I can't wait to delve right into that DLC and everything it does right, how it feels like a game in its own right, how it introduces new mechanics to keep it interesting, how it compares its day and night cycle in a way that contrasts, so that you know that while this is a high fantasy sort of Southern European inspired thing, it's also a fucked universe. It's all those things that I really love, those little details about it, and I just can't wait to talk about that sort of thing.
The quests come with true dilemmas.
What's that?
In an ideal world, every game would be that quality in its own right.
Yeah.
But every I guess Xbox and PlayStation would be sort of neck and neck on this. That would be my
Ubisoft would still be doing what they do and abuse women, even in a perfect
Ubisoft
world.
Ubisoft can abuse women in the corner if they want to.
That's the official statement from Fishy right there.
All I'm saying is, right, with Ubisoft is they're fucked. They are fucked.
Let me read out a comment quickly from our boy Joe Cormack. He writes into patreon.com/conversations, and he says, "Hey guys, hope you're all doing well. First off, I just want to say the podcast clips on the channel seem like a really good idea. Maybe even do the same thing for Streamcast. it could be a good idea right there." That's the Sheps's baby right there. You can thank him for that. And he goes, "As for Bethesda, I'm sure for Xbox gamers, it's all a bit exciting, but it's clear as mad what the actual flip is going on. I think they'll try and make certain series exclusive. Wouldn't surprise me if Fallout became exclusive if it isn't already." It's a tough one. I mean, it wouldn't be a big loss, to be honest.
Unless the next one's an absolute banger, which and the only way I really genuinely think they'll do it, they'll just remaster New Vegas.
I don't think they have the brain capacity to do that. They're going to be like, let's make a new one and then flop that.
What do you mean, remaster New Vegas and not put it on the toaster? They wouldn't know what to do. They wouldn't know what to do. It'd be like, can we just re-release Skyrim for the next generation? We've got to do it. I've been waiting for that announcement for Skyrim on the PS5 and Xbox Series X. It's going to be funny.
We heard you guys.
Because it'll happen.
It's coming to your mug.
It will happen.
Right.
Can you, what will they call it? They had Skyrim Special Edition, Skyrim Very Special Edition,
Nintendo Switch Edition.
That's the Alexa version.
We heard you. You want to play Skyrim on your Fitbit?
We know, guys. We heard you.
Skyrim Special Needs Edition. There we go. That's the one.
And he goes, he carries on going, personally think the Elder Scrolls will be multi-platform title. And he goes,
yeah, it will be.
Also, I've been thinking about this because it's been related in a similar way. I don't think it's unfair to say Bethesda's reputation has been badly damaged after Fallout 4 and Fallout 76 stuff. And
Fallout 4 was fine-ish. It's just 76 really where it mostly pissed away.
Do you know what? Fallout 4 for me also wasn't that great. I played a bit of it.
It wasn't great because it misunderstood what a Bethesda Game Studios RPG, sandbox RPG in general, is meant to do. And the biggest issue with that game for me is the fact that the protagonist has a voice.
Oh, yeah.
But beyond that,
What it was for me is that they continued. They made Fallout 3, and then they sort of locked themselves in a room, and then they made Fallout 4 with some very minor updates, and then released it, and then realized that the entire gaming industry actually jumped forward quite a lot. Because at the same time, we got Uncharted 4, for example, and
I'm certain there's no internet connection at most Bethesda games.
right, they just never saw anything else, so they made this minor incremental upgrade to Fallout 3 and made it Fallout 4, and everyone was like, this game looks like shit, and this game plays like shit, and it runs
it's
like
MW3
shit.
mics.
And it's just, exactly, it's like the MW3 mic system that they just ported over and just didn't do anything about. It's just they didn't improve upon it enough, and the gaming industry had moved forward so far forward.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Yeah.
so that was what killed Fallout 4 for me. And then they go, don't worry guys, we've brought a new game for you, Fallout 76. It's an online game, which is what you all wanted. And we're like, no.
Not even close.
No. Oh, okay, you don't want that. No problem. We'll roll out Fallout First, which is our monthly pass that you can pay us extra money for.
Here, pay £75 for a door.
Some
broken eggs.
That's
An
about
omelette
right,
that went
isn't
off
it?
2 weeks ago.
Didn't they release voiced NPCs as DLC
Oh,
for 76?
God, that's terrible.
How does this make sense? And then you look at...
but they did it, didn't they?
Like you mentioned Blood and Wine. You look at that. What was that? It cost us like £10.
Yeah.
And it's... I mean, what? 15 hours worth of gameplay or something?
Yeah, exactly.
It's a full game.
It's more than 15 hours. It's more or less a full game in its own right.
It's basically a 20-hour game, something like that. And
it's built on the back of The Witcher 3. It's not a full game in what was made for it, but it's a full game in its own right in how it feels and how it plays.
Yeah, it's incredible.
It just feels like if this was its own game, it would be passable as high quality.
Yeah, if that was The Witcher 4 and Geralt's found himself shipwrecked in Tucson, like you could have got away with that.
Yeah.
You could have, and I would have bought it.
Yeah.
It would have been interesting for him to get shipwrecked in Tucson since it's like landlocked.
Well, you know what I mean.
Dickhead!
Frick you both. You know what I mean.
But I know exactly what you mean. It would have been funny if he was shipwrecked.
Just
actually.
get fricked. You know what I'm saying. He does end up shipwrecked. You know what I'm saying. Get fricked.
Yeah, he rode down with these night people.
Right,
there
you go.
A contract.
Dickheads.
Yeah, that would be very passable as The Witcher 4. I think it would. I think if it were its own game, it would have its own. It would be criticised quite a fair bit, but I think it would at least you could release that as its own game, and it would still
of
get
the quality, for sure.
a huge portion of favourable reviews.
Talking of games, are we ready for a new topic?
Okay, yeah, I was going to move on over, but you can pop that in now.
Sean.
Just before we do that, sorry, did you want to say something, Ethan?
Yeah, did you not finish that guy's comment?
There is another part to it, but we'll read that later. It's not actually. It's about CDPR and whatnot. So we'll
yeah.
But I just want to say, just to summarize our thoughts.
Yeah.
After that statement, the very ambiguous statement, the vague statement, the one by Phil Spencer, it doesn't sound like every game. In fact, he doesn't say all games.
No.
So we have to assume it's going to be select games.
And probably only new IPs.
Only new IPs
next
is
the
smart one. And basically,
next to no.
And even when it happens, it's going to be 4 years down the line, 5 years down the line. It's going to be out of your thoughts. It's going to be out of your thoughts in a month. Just so let me summarize it. I personally don't think that this is going to change the needle. I don't think that Sony should be scared. I think they should stick their course because they've got great IPs coming up and they're clearly investing in new studios and stuff like that. And they've got the right attitude. They bought Insomniac 229 million, a company that made them a game already, improved their worth, and they had a good IP, so they're going to continue with that. That's a much better strategy than what Xbox is doing. Spend ridiculous amounts of money for a studio that has a bad reputation, and even then, the games that they're going to come out are not even going to be consequential or even within our lifetime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't think it moves the needle. If any of you guys want to say anything as well, feel free to.
Just to add on to
I don't think so either.
Even when they say exclusive, we saw this with Call of Duty back in the day, which was that they had like a 1 month exclusivity deal, which was DLC would come a month early to Xbox or whichever console, and Xbox said play exclusive only on Xbox, and the deal was it's exclusive for a month.
This is the thing, and this is another point that glad you reminded me about this.
You know?
They did the same thing with Tomb Raider. Was it right?
Yeah.
One of the Tomb Raiders, a brand new one that came out, and they were like, exclusive to Xbox. And then afterwards, after the E3 press conference, they had all the journalists come in and ask questions, and then they had conflicting reports. And it's like, well, actually, it's a console exclusive. Well, actually, it's a timed exclusive for a certain amount of time. Well, actually, it's not really exclusive.
Right, but no one reads that. They see the title where Phil Spencer announces
exclusive.
Right, exactly.
If we word it as minimalistically as possible.
Exactly.
And that's the thing. We've been burnt so many times as gamers. And this is the shit that we hear.
That is exactly what we complain about with Phil Spencer.
It's not lying, it's bullshitting.
Exactly. There's a grain of truth in the beach of bullshit.
And the reason why, and that's why I don't trust it. All these people out there that are coming probably to this video after they've seen the title, and they're like, let's talk about Bethesda, stuff like that. That's the reason why I don't trust it until he says all games, or he could have totally come out with, he had a deal, spoke with the people, we're going to pick that IP is going to be exclusive. Yeah. Guys, the next Fallout game is going to be exclusive. He could have said one of them. No, he chose not to. Yep. All the cards are in his hand and he chose not to, which makes me think something is up. When you sit there and you say everything's exclusive, it just makes you look stupid. That's the problem right there. Anyway, that's my thoughts on that. We can wrap that up nicely. Cool. Thank you very much.
So over on our Discord, and let me know what you guys think about this. Yeah. Over on our Discord, Sean, in our podcast room, which you can join and talk to us, because of course we do read your comments, just posted a link about completion of games.
Okay.
And I know someone said to do this without talking about Ghost of Tsushima, but it's very interesting because the trophy stats have come out.
Okay.
Or Sony has released trophy statistics, and it's very interesting because one of the most completed games of all time is Ghost of Tsushima at 50.2%.
50?
Over 50.2. I want to put this in perspective because I want to talk about this. Bearing in mind this game is 6 months old.
Yeah.
The only game to have beat it in like modern era is Marvel's Spider-Man at 50.8. More perspective for you. Horizon Zero Dawn, 34%. The Witcher 3, 29.8%. Red Dead Redemption 2, 28%. Watch Dogs 2, 24%. AC Valhalla, 19.8%.
Not surprised there.
AC Origins, 38%. Far Cry 5, 36.7%. So 50% for Ghost of Tsushima. That is outstanding.
I was going to say, because I'm a trophy hunter and I follow the stats. And sometimes I look at games and I'm like, some people haven't even got the first trophy. That means you put it in your console, installed it, turn it on, and then just turn it off.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, that's so mad. And then I've looked at completion rates, and 50% is insanely high.
I saw this. Like, you can tell it comes down to how the game respects your time.
Yeah.
That's if you feel a game respects your time, you finish it. That's why Marvel Spider-Man. Exactly. That game takes
example.
The piss.
These two games are relatively similar. They're set in a similar time period, right? Which is to say they're medieval, right? Different parts of the world.
Pepsi Max.
Little Pepsi Max. They're medieval games.
Product placement. Who?
They're set in different parts of the world, but they're open world RPGs that follow a story, right? And one of them is 20%, just shy of 20%, and one's a hair over 50%.
Yeah.
And they're both big games. I don't think anyone would say there's not enough game in Ghost of Tsushima. But I always felt like I was doing something, and the story's good. I mean, I've given my critique of the final moments of it, but also, my God, does it feel good to play? And I've never heard anyone just say, "Oh my God, AC Valhalla!" It's so immersive, so good to play. I'm not saying it's a bad game. I know Ethan's put a ton of time on it, but
I put a ton of time into it, but I wouldn't sit here and defend it avidly. If you guys have anything you want to say,
well, I think it's absolutely disgusting. It's shit, awful.
There's things that
exist.
I like. There's things that I don't.
You've put
you know what I mean?
a good amount of time on both games. What do you think about Ghost of Tsushima in comparison to AC Valhalla? I know you're surprised
Ghost
that
of Tsushima is
that different.
The best Assassin's Creed game I've played since maybe
we said that before Valhalla came out. We was like, this game is a better Assassin's Creed game than any Assassin's Creed.
I saw Ubisoft put out a thing saying, where would you like to see us set the next one? And a lot of it was Japan. I was like, well, you can't do that. They've already made AC Japan. It's called Ghost of Tsushima, and you really don't want to compete with that.
Yeah.
You might as well shoot yourself in the leg.
Yeah.
It's that Ubisoft will probably just do it anyway.
Probably.
They think, oh yeah, it's Assassin's Creed, we're Ubisoft, it will sell like hotcakes, and they're not wrong, it will. But it will always be reviewed in favour of Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah.
It will always be compared to that game. It's too fresh, and it's also too good. It's not a perfect game, Ghost of Tsushima.
No, it's got issues for sure.
But you can tell that it was made with care and integrity.
Yeah.
Whereas with Ubisoft games, it feels like at times it's made with care and integrity, and at others it's made by the village idiot.
Yeah.
And so when that happens, there's no integrity at all because it's not consistent.
Yeah.
Whereas Ghost of Tsushima, though it did have some issues, it was consistent in its integrity. So it will always be compared to the better game, basically. For example, Assassin's Creed since Origins has been compared to The Witcher 3.
Yeah.
Because in a way, and they tried with Origins and Odyssey and Valhalla to make an RPG Assassin's Creed, and there's so many things that have been taken straight from The Witcher 3, like they're just inspired by that to the point where it's almost uncanny. It's obvious that they're trying to ride on that success, and so people won't let that go. If they went and did a Japan Assassin's Creed, it's the same thing. So no, they're not going to do that because, well, there's a game out there that respects the player base more, has more integrity, and just feels better to play, and it's just nicer and more grounded and immersive, if you will.
The combat
it's not necessarily realistic. You're just immersed in it. And if you've got that criteria, I don't think a Ubisoft game really stands a chance. It might sell, but it won't necessarily be. It won't be a groundbreaking.
It'll sell to the four
Ubisoft.
pillars. That's what it sells to.
Yeah, no, that's all day long.
4 guaranteed.
We'll chat
game
shit about
sales.
anything.
I was gonna say I did see a tweet earlier about how long they spent perfecting the combat in Ghost of Tsushima. Apparently, they spent 6 years perfecting the combat in Ghost of Tsushima. And that's probably not 6 years every day toiling behind the coding wall and whatnot.
Right.
But apparently, that's how long they took to perfect it. And god damn it, if it didn't pay off, it was fucking great.
So slick. One of the best combat systems.
Yeah.
So good. So smooth. That game's so good. It doesn't surprise me one bit to find that game's 50% completion, which is insanely high.
It's really, really good. Backtracking a little bit to games and like Xbox and PlayStation and whatnot, I've got 2 stories that I'm going to just combine for you here. It's about games that are coming out for both Xbox Game Pass and also PlayStation Plus and stuff like that. So on last week's episode, I did mention how I played the demo for Outriders. And I did speak.
Oh, did you?
I did speak.
I played maybe half an hour.
Okay, how did you find it? The half an hour they played.
You know what? I'm known for not liking games like this.
Really?
Like, I'm known for not liking games like this. But I actually kind of liked it.
Really? Good. I came out saying positive stuff as well. I had some critiques, and also I hate this.
For sure. The game has some funny things that I go, okay.
Funny things.
Maybe it needs sorting out. But I did quite like what I played. I didn't play enough to form an actual opinion that's valid, I would say. But I did like what I played.
I unfortunately didn't say a few critiques, and I want to say them here, but I hate it because it's going to sound so bad in comparison to the story that we're going to talk about. I didn't like the way it looked. It looked like a PS4 game, even though I was running it on PS5, and I think there's not a PS5 version. It's just going to have the PS4 crappy graphics, but they're selling a PS5 disc, which is quite shitty. And also, the fact that it's an online game, it kind of does detract from it a little bit, even though I don't mind too much because I play Destiny, and Destiny does play the story, even though it's online and whatnot. And there is a little bit of jank to it, and stuff like that. So that there's that to discuss as well. But other than that, I still do firmly believe that I do like the game, and I could play it when it comes out. Now, Xbox Game Pass announced that Outriders will be coming day 1 to Game Pass.
All right.
Which actually got me kind of worried about the game. Because PlayStation, not too long ago, they got Destruction All-Stars on PlayStation Plus day 1. And I can tell you exactly why that was. It was because they looked at their pre-order numbers and saw the number 5, and then that was it.
Right.
And they went, oh shit.
Are we missing zeros? No.
We're not going to sell any games.
They're all meant to be in front of that 5.
And then PlayStation were like, tell you what, we'll fund it, we'll get this and whatnot, we'll do that and whatnot. And then as well, they lowered the price afterwards to something like $30 or whatever it might be, from 70 to 30. And now they at least have a player base and stuff like that. And I tell you, this is the first like big game that Xbox have got that's third party that's coming day one to Xbox Game Pass. And now I'm really worried about the game because I feel like that's the same thing. I feel like they put out the demo to try and get some feelers out there. Not many people tried it because it was, you know, they looked kind of generic, people said, and stuff like that. And I think some people played it and they went, do you know what? I'm just not interested in live service games anymore. I feel like this is not my thing. I feel like I'm going to go for something else. We've got Horizon Forbidden West coming out, et cetera, et cetera. And they just don't want it. And then they saw their pre-order numbers and they went, shit, well, let's make a deal somewhere. Game Pass offered them whatever ridiculous amount of money, and now it's coming day one to Game Pass. And now I see that as an indication that maybe this game isn't going to be very good.
No, I don't know
how much money they're
going to
get from
be
it.
very good as a long-term play. Now, the live service, you need to make a game that's fun and engages you over a long period of time. You're not going to want to sink 5 hours or 10 hours into it. That's not successful. The live service, the success of which is not just measured by the revenue that it makes, but also the engagement of the players when they play it. So you want to be in a live service game sinking 100 hours, 50 at least. So because that's what they strive for, is giving you a live service, make you come back for those updates. Otherwise they're completely redundant, because if nobody plays more than 10 hours, most of the stuff that's been updated in will never get
seen.
It'll never get seen. So if it's good out the bat, if it's good off the bat, it'll be fine. But
from Xbox's point of view, this is a win situation. Because
you see, the thing is, with
stuff on Game Pass.
I played it and I went, okay. I enjoyed playing it. I don't have any desire to necessarily play more, if that makes sense. It's a game that I thought, this is all right. I enjoy it, but I'm a busy guy. I'll have to just make a cut. And this thing, it's a game I don't think I'll ever necessarily need to play. I might play it just because, obviously, but when it comes down to it, it just feels a little bit like, if
it's a job.
If you're struggling with
live service games are a job. You have to commit yourself to it and continue every day, checking in, and every week doing this. And
the game has to compel you to commit, though.
Yes.
If the game can't compel you to commit, then it's not going to succeed as a live service.
I
feel like that's something that a lot of these live services go wrong on. And I don't know, there are people who might gobble it up with Ubisoft and other companies that do this sort of shit. But will they do it with this game? I don't even know. I didn't hear about it until there was a demo.
That's the thing. I saw the trailer and it didn't look too impressive. I was like,
is it a demo or is it a...
It is a demo. It's not an alpha, not a beta or anything like that. It's a full-on demo. They were intending to tease you into this game. That's what they were intending to do.
All right.
I have to say, this is a good move on Xbox for one reason. If this turns out to be a good game, or if this hooks enough people and it brings people into then it's a live service game, and live service games lend well to subscriptions, because then you have to pay every month to come back. But that's
typically you get the full subscription.
True. And that's the stupid part. What's going to happen is people are going to buy Xbox Game Pass, they're going to try it, and then they're going to go, if they like the game, they go, I like this game. I'll pay full price for the game, and then cancel my Xbox Game Pass subscription. If they're smart. If they're an idiot, then they'll continue their subscription for 4 weeks and for 4 years and whatnot, and continue paying so much money.
Listen, you can find these free trial codes grow on trees. buy some Doritos.
Sign up with a new account.
Buy some Monster
drinks.
If
you're gonna play,
if you do buy some Monster Energy drinks and you find a code, just pour the drinks down the sink.
Look, if you get 3 months and you're only going to play one game, and you get 3 months free.
Yeah.
You bang it on that, done. You got like $3 into Game Pass. You played the game you wanted to play, plus some extra ones, and now you're done. Cancel.
I so badly want to see the amount of money they're pulling in for it.
They're never, ever going to show it. Ever.
Yeah, it's never, ever going to show it for sure. Anyway, that's the game that's come into Game Pass. And I thought it was interesting that I think, to me personally, it's a bad sign that it's on Game Pass, because it's like, you could be selling it for $70 a pop, but you don't think you can.
Yeah.
It's a lack of confidence is what Game Pass seems to indicate. Yep. If you're on Game Pass right away, you're not going to be very confident that your game's going to sell, are you?
You can't be,
and that's the issue.
It's so bad because it's a contradiction to what I said last week, which is if you have a demo of a game, then surely you're super confident because you just want to show people the product, and then they'll be in after that. But then there's this, and it's contradictory.
No, this is a sale generator. You're testing the waters to see how people respond.
This is exactly why Game Pass
people
isn't
taking their
pro-consumer.
time to actually touch the demo is the indicator.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But the reason Game Pass isn't pro-consumer is because you have a game like this that's brand new, that's coming out. It's only getting a slice of $14.99 a month, assuming everyone on there's paying $14.99 a month, and not $70 like it should be, or the current average is anywhere from 50 to 70, right? So how much are these devs going to get? Because they're certainly not going to get the appropriate slice of the pie that everybody would get if it's on Game Pass, right?
So this is the
So how are they going to fund the next good title? How are they going to make their losses back?
This is going to be a huge indicator, and maybe we'll get some good insight here. This is a good test. So the way it looks, Outriders could live or die on the first day. We don't know. It could be one of those games that comes out and it goes, actually, it's an Anthem situation. It's terrible.
It either flies or it falls.
Yes.
It's one or the other.
If it
won't do anything else.
If it doesn't do well,
it'll do bad.
No, if well,
that's true.
Well, if it does bad, then it sort of shows that even though people just had it for free, the 18 million subscriptions they just had it in their subscription, even they didn't want to touch it. And that means that it doesn't matter whether it's on Game Pass.
Oh, you're saying as a like a metric, if a game is good and then it won't go to Game Pass, so you can prove that people aren't going to play it because it was free and no one played it.
It was even there. And also, if the company goes, oh, well, we didn't have a success and after a year they shut down the servers or something like that, then we go, then even the money they got from Game Pass wasn't enough, and then proves that maybe being Game Pass isn't the right idea, perhaps. Or that's a greater question to ask.
Xbox isn't pro-consumer, but they say pro-consumer and gamer all the
time. They say it all the time, though. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. And look, if the game is good, for one, I want it to succeed, and I hope it does. Like, I really do.
Yeah, no, I hope it succeeds.
I just don't see if it comes to Game Pass that early, because it means that you literally anything on Xbox or PC, they don't have to buy your game.
Yeah.
So now what?
The other thing that I wanted to tie in tandem to this is that's Xbox's approach, right? To buy games, put them on Xbox Game Pass, and also to buy studios or buy companies with studios in them to brute force their way into it. On the other end of the spectrum is Jade Raymond being paid by Sony to make an exclusive IP, a brand new IP for PlayStation, and to make her own studio. A studio called Haven, which is really cool. Apparently, it's like all these devs that maybe she knows in the industry that have been treated badly, like in terms of professionally. We did a great job and you still fired us, and what
doing
kind of
a Kojima kind of deal.
And that's
I see.
That's a really good approach, isn't it? That's so healthy for the gaming industry.
That's what Shep said before. First, it's pro developer.
Yeah.
And if it's pro developer, then there's a good chance that it will become pro consumer through passion.
Yeah,
and that's
making passion products. And Ghost of
passion,
Tsushima is a perfect example of it. Ghost of Tsushima on that list.
There you go.
It's one of the best things ever made.
It's brilliant.
I think
you'll have to see it.
This is really, really great news, and it's such a contrasting tactic from Xbox. We don't know. It's only been done once before. Hideo Kojima did it, and he's some people say he's a visionary, some people say he's a lunatic, but
I think the words I'd use to describe him is weirdo.
Yeah, he's very much that.
He's a weird
but
guy.
He knows how to make
he's a strange guy,
game.
but he's passionate about what he does.
Exactly.
And that's what I respect.
And that resulted in this game.
Even if I'm not necessarily a big fan of his games, I respect the fact that he cares.
Yeah.
That's all that matters.
And that's all that matters at the end of the day. Now, if this happens a second time, then maybe this is the method that really we should be doing. Yeah. Now, granted, you're not going to find a Kojima sitting on every corner of the street. You're not going to find a Jade Raymond sitting on the corner of the street just waiting for Sony to come along and post the game.
Say that, though.
But then someone could be like, I don't like being here. I don't like working for EA. I don't like working for Ubisoft. I've got a name and I can do it. Let me see what Sony's up to. Let's see if they want anything.
You say that.
Yo, Sony.
But I think Sony's done this.
It's your boy Jade Raymond.
It's your boy Yves Guillemot. Can you give me a...
Yves Guillemot.
You say that it's only been done once before.
Imagine Yves Guillemot walking into a bar with a fake mustache.
I'm totally not
It's definitely not me.
Do you reckon?
Hey, where are the white women at?
Hey, white women.
Do you reckon? Oh no! Imagine if he resigned from Ubisoft, and then the next CEO was just him in a fake mustache. That'd be brilliant.
Just whips on a
He'd be
coat.
like, I promised change.
And a pair of glasses, right?
yeah.
We know
Fix
this.
the culture of Ubisoft, and nobody's buying it,
No.
but everyone's
No.
going along and nodding because it's Ubisoft, and if you don't, you'll get tased or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that'll be really funny. But no, I think that's disenfranchised developers. I think that's
Yeah, you take the
something
Misfits.
Yeah.
And not like the
Yeah,
Misfits
exactly.
because no one likes them.
Yeah.
The Misfits
It's not
because
the-
they have these ideas, because they care. Like the guys at CDPR that wanted to, like the Mantis Mantis Blade wall running, or car customization. You know, little things like maybe car customization is a bad example, but
Yeah.
like it's interesting though. You said it's only been done once before, but I don't know if that's true because the beta test for doing it that way, because I know what you're saying, like Kojima Studios, they took Kojima, they made a studio, they're doing it again with Jade Raymond, but they've done it on a less personal scale, like Sucker Punch, like they like you said before, this is their MO, is they find a company that's made them a title that was good and they purchase them, and then they say, oh, we want you to do what you did. We're gonna reward your success. Now funnel it in this direction, right?
It just gives them security in it,
right? And that's what I think is the exact wrong approach for Bethesda, which is Bethesda's flopped so much so recently, and then Microsoft has built them and said, right, we like what you're doing, go in this direction. Well, you're rewarding,
reinforcing bad behavior,
right? Exactly. And so
we like what you're doing with Fallout 76 and your
exactly. We love your money grabs
and your blatant disregard for improvement.
Right, for pro-consumer, pro-developer movements, exactly.
So we're pro-consumer, pro-developer, so keep
say those words.
Keep insulting your fans, and we'll only give you this much money, despite being able to afford this much more.
Exactly.
And you'll grow complacent and release shit.
There you go.
Yeah,
that's exactly it. Whereas you take Sucker
model.
Punch and you give them this really ambitious project, and it comes out and it's absolutely insane because you allowed. You found quality, and then you rewarded good work from quality, and then you said take a passion project and make it a thing. Like, look, and I've said it a million times in this exact same wording, Sucker Punch had no right to make that game. They had they had absolutely no standing by which to say, this is the game I'm pitching you, it's safe in our hands. They should have made Infamous 4, right? And then they make that, and
they make that. They come out of nowhere and make that.
Right. And at every level, it's insanely good. Every level, from casting to like scripting, everything.
There are some moments where
it has flaws.
Makes no sense.
Yeah, it has.
But
it
beyond
certainly
that,
has flaws. There
is one fight that just comes out of nowhere and makes no sense, and that I can't get over it.
Which fight?
Lady Masako, you have to duel her at one point. It just comes out of nowhere.
I get that.
I find that to be really funny, but
I hated the fight with the Khan at the end. I hated it.
I was
underwhelmed.
It was nasty. I didn't like the fight after it because it was meant to be sentimental, but it was fucking me up a lot. And I felt like in that structuring, you're better off making the hardest boss fight the second to last. So the last fight.
So what we're saying is we hate Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah,
got
Ghost
it.
of Tsushima
Got it.
What we're saying
game.
is fuck it. It's going to become the next Assassin's Creed and suck.
Right. To bring the point back around is, I think they've already tested the concept. Find incredibly talented guys, reward success, and give them a passion project, and then smaller. Like, okay, because we've seen small dev houses make brilliant things.
Yeah.
CDPR was like 30 people when they made The Witcher 3, right? Something ridiculous.
I don't know if it was 30 people.
It's probably that's smaller, but it was probably like 100 people or something.
I think when The Witcher 3 released, it was a lot bigger than 30.
Yeah, but it was a.
I think they grew to that point. They probably started really small. Yeah.
My point is that we've seen small dev companies do incredible things,
magical
right?
things.
And then you take these incredible, like, I guess, visionaries. Yeah, they need to get Amy Hennig on board.
That's someone who I don't understand no one's approached just yet. Or maybe it's Amy Hennig's choice. She's decided she wants to become a recluse and stroke cats or whatever the hell it is on there.
Yeah.
But she...
sorry,
how has nobody... got stroke...
I don't know who... I'm probably just uncultured. I don't know who Amy Hennig is.
She worked at Naughty Dog. Yeah. She was one of the lead writers for Uncharted games and stuff that.
She was the lead on. She was the lead on a later scrapped Star Wars open world RPG.
Yes.
Which, my God, do I want that to have been made? And I don't want a Star Wars
Yeah.
open world RPG. I want her Star Wars open world RPG. Or forget
Yeah,
open
exactly.
world.
From what we heard, there was after it got canned by was it EA?
Yeah.
EA had the
I
license.
love the amount of shit that just gets canned. The EA go, oh look, a good idea. Let's
Right.
cancel it.
Wait, is that
That's
not
what they do.
FIFA
They love
Ultimate
it.
Team?
The worst
Well,
thing is,
see you later.
Even worse, they'll take a good idea
FIFA
and
21 Legacy Edition for the Switch. It's basically FIFA 18.
or they'll take a great idea and say, okay, let's just make it a money grab. Battlefront 2. It
Yeah.
was such a good idea, so true to the IP. It ended up being so good, but it was killed off the
It's
bat.
because it was such a good idea that it managed to survive all of the shit that went through it. Yeah,
anyway,
that
Amy
was,
Hennig, let's get her on board. And, Hennig Studios,
someone needs to
come on,
snap
man.
her up. Come on.
Come on.
Anyway, so as we said, like Jade Raymond,
Yeah.
she's been paid to do that.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see where it is. It's going to be exclusive to PlayStation. Just now started,
Yeah, I
so
look
we can
forward to
expect
that.
like 6 years later or something like that.
Yeah,
It'll probably come out.
fine.
That's probably about the right
How
time.
long did Kojima take to make Death Stranding?
That guy, he's an anomaly. It did take 5
also
years.
they made PT, right?
He made PT
beforehand.
before, and but that was with like Konami and whatnot.
Was it? Yeah,
and
yeah.
he was teasing a Silent Hill game,
Right,
but then
yeah,
it got scrapped.
that's right.
But the guy is insane. He opened a studio, shopped around for an engine, found the engine, and then created the whole game in 5 years.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Normally that takes people 5 years just to make the game portion of it, and then he did everything. Like, that guy's and the game came out polished,
Yeah.
like a beautiful gem. I don't even understand how that fucking happened.
Crazy. They shipped a game and it worked. What?
Bethesda's very confused right now. Let me move on to one of our next topics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ethan, it's perfect timing that you were here for this one.
Oh.
Ubisoft
Oh, great.
Right, I'm leaving.
posted a tweet celebrating women at Ubisoft.
God.
We talked about this on the podcast that I 25% own that we won't mention out of respect for the boys.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. There, we don't talk about the Four Pillars.
I'm just
podcast.
kidding.
Oh
We
shit!
talked about the Four Pillars podcast. So, yeah,
Ubisoft posted a tweet celebrating women in the workplace at Ubisoft. Wow, talk about out of touch. So just in case you guys didn't know, this is the company that has multiple sexual harassment and inappropriate work culture lawsuits and complaints currently going on. And allegedly, Yves Guillemot even made a Twitter video that didn't go out in the normal Ubisoft Forward event. He made a Twitter video saying that we are looking into this and we'll be making sure to right any sort of wrongs and whatnot, and has yet to update us on any situation going on there.
Did he fuck? Nothing. Nothing. Radio silence since then. We have addressed the work culture problem. Let's get back to our job.
We just want to say.
How
Mike-
out of touch can you get?
This was
Ubisoft. I think Ubisoft is the definition of out of touch. We could add that to the Urban Dictionary. Doing a Ubisoft being being as out of touch as possible.
It's insane, isn't it? It is mind blowing.
It is. You can't make it up.
They could have stayed silid. They could have stayed silent.
They should have.
You know what? They might as well. They might as well have got bloody Ted Bundy to do it. You know, like all I'm saying is right. Yeah, and you know what the best thing is? It's a marketing ego tickle. So you actually look at the article, and they're talking. They've got all these women, basically put them in the hot seat and gone talk about how great it is to work at Ubisoft.
there's
No,
no
there's
play.
a gun
Inclusive
behind the
they are.
camera.
The play
Yeah,
is-
it's like you can put the shotgun down.
you're in control of the UB Twitter and you just post on International Women's Day awkward eyes emoji. And then no
I would
tweets
do
for
that,
2 days.
and I would get sacked for it. I would tweet that and get sacked for it.
Yeah. I
if
would do
was-
it,
if
yeah.
I was in charge of that.
But that
you want to know why? Because that is just a legendary move.
It's self-deprecating. It admits that they know there was a problem, but they want to like tweet
It's
on
also-
the day,
it's-
and it's
it's also
funny and
Like, they want to say something good, but everything
gotta
they
be
say
careful
is
it's
that
not
you're not
badly.
it's not patronising.
In the situation that Ubisoft's in, you've got to be careful to not mock the victims in a way, and that's what it could be taken as as well. So that's understandable.
I understand.
would have done it.
Well,
I would have done it.
I would have done
What I
it.
wouldn't
I
have
would've
done
done
in
it
the
just to
first place is
bring
not
attention
mistreat
back
the
to the
women in
issue.
my company.
Yeah,
That's what I would have
maybe-
done in the first place, but we're not at that
I
point
would've-
already.
I mean,
To
how
be
many
honest,
businesses
if I
have
was a
you
little-
run? Because
if I was a
clearly,
little- if I was just a little man, yeah, I would have done that. Were I at the top of the company, it wouldn't have been acceptable from the start. But I'm not, am I?
Yeah, exactly.
I basically live in a cupboard.
the players, you don't tweet a freaking thing because there's no way any of it goes well, right? You don't tweet.
It's funny because I love the responses are all just, okay, Ubisoft, it's just that, just
thought it was an April Fool's
nobody's
joke.
buying it. We haven't forgotten, guys.
Just like it's like the old grandparent that's like deranged at 99, and they've said something racist.
It's like, God, you can't say that anymore, Grandma.
It's like when somebody with Alzheimer's says something racist. You just sort of have to change the subject and not and not address it. Otherwise,
temperature in the room drops 5 degrees. But you're like, and so anyway,
I can't disagree
that weather
with you
we're
because it will
having.
hurt you. But I can change the subject.
There you go. Exactly.
See, it's one of those things. I don't understand how Ubisoft are so out of touch. They go, yeah, we promise we'll
look at their games.
It's nothing. They've sacked a couple of offenders of offending names, I think, after investigating. They think it's over. It's not. We need to see the change in the company. We need to see that there is actually an improvement in workplace culture, in equality in the workplace. They have this They like to present themselves as the woke company. They like to present themselves as this is the place to be included. This is the place to be to express yourself, to be all these things, funded and controlled by 6 white men in a boardroom. Yeah, exactly. See, it's all smoke and mirrors for Ubisoft, because they'll say we're inclusive. We want women to be more involved in the games industry, and we want more women working for us. So you can sexually abuse them?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's stupid.
I can't imagine any woman saying, "I want to work at Ubisoft."
I'm not gonna sit here and pretend that Ubisoft is the only company that'll be out there doing this right now.
Yeah.
Even in the games industry, it's likely happening at all of them.
Yeah.
In some capacity, because this shit is more common than I think people.
End of the day,
want to admit.
it's assholes are going to be assholes wherever they are, right? Now it's not exclusive to Ubisoft, right?
You can't excuse Ubisoft.
It's
because
true.
they're the example at the moment.
They're the people.
They have
to police it. They have to make sure that kind of stuff isn't acceptable.
Right. Ubisoft has to take the hammer down hard on these people. But the reason why they can't do it is because it was enabled from the very top.
Yeah.
Higher ups, trust me, they're either very stupid or they're complicit, and there's no in between.
The best case scenario is that a toxic work culture like this was allowed to develop and fester, whereby this atrocious behavior could happen and no one thought to take it higher up. That's the best case scenario,
because it wouldn't be solved.
Right. That's not what happened.
But that's what I'm saying.
One of the people who got outed was Sergei Ascot, however you say his surname. He's a French guy.
And that's what I'm saying, is the absolute best case. The absolute best case is that the higher ups didn't know, and that is your best case. And that's not good.
One of them was up to it.
That alone, Eve should stand down, and all the top brass, they need to be not like today, but replaced.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Well, of course. The company needs to be changed from the top down, not the bottom up, because the problem comes from the top down. It's the culture that they've enabled, and I find it so funny that they think they can pretend that nothing's happened and they're still an ally to women, an ally to this, an ally to that, when in reality they're just as fucked as any other company that they're pretending to not be. They just think, oh, we're Ubisoft, we're unique, we're inclusive, we're modern, we're all these things.
Well, they gave you an option in the game to play as a male or female.
Yeah, exactly. You get an option to play as a male or female.
And we put a tattoo in the game.
So
we put a tattoo in the game, guys.
They put a tattoo in the game.
Right. So we must be pro-female.
I don't think anybody outside of the company thinks that that's enough. I don't think that, besides from maybe idiots. They're just if you believe that a tattoo in a game is enough, if you believe that Ubisoft has sorted this issue out, then I'm sorry, but to put it kindly, you are fucking stupid.
It just seems like them saying they want more women to work at Ubisoft is sort of like sharks saying they want more fish in their area.
Yeah,
right?
Jump into our tank.
Right.
Jump in.
It's crazy. It's insane.
Yeah, exactly. It's just. I mean, that's one thing, but I see it a different way. I see it as this: Ubisoft need to change their culture, and they need to change it from the top down, and there's no other solution to it, because what happened was, simply put, abhorrent. And wherever it happens, it's disgusting and truly vile.
Yeah. But this is the case that we know
about
of.
You need to make an example, otherwise it gets enabled elsewhere.
Yes, it needs to be put people on your feet, and people who aren't outed already need to be like, shit, this could happen to me any second.
I don't doubt there are people still working at Ubisoft who haven't been outed for their antics, and I'm sure there are some. I don't know that. I've not been told anything. all I know is there are definitely going to be more, because there's always more.
Yeah.
There's always more with this kind of thing, and you need to make an example. It has. If it's Ubisoft, they need to bring the hammer down hard. Otherwise, the problem will persist somewhere else.
Yeah.
And you've got to take a firm stance against it, or you're enabling it. And I don't think there is an in between, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I don't believe there is an in between.
The problem is that there is. What is the? You can't be in between, right? There isn't a. What's the in between? Well, we'll allow a little bit of sexual harassment.
Right, like if there's no. It's got to be a hard line. Like no,
there's
we
nothing.
Don't do that here.
Right? Exactly.
Listen, we don't do that here. Shame on you for thinking it. Get out. I don't think it should be stood for in any capacity. Like just get out.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not saying people can't do better. I'm just saying don't fuck up to begin with. Just don't do it.
Yeah.
And that's the best way is to prevent enabling it rather than to punish people after the fact. You've got to do both when it happens. But if we stop it before it happens, that's somewhere else by making an example of Ubisoft. That's going to be better than that's going to be much better, isn't it? If there's another company out there that sees this happen and makes sure their culture doesn't allow for it in a way, and maybe even if Ubisoft in the future sort this out, that's better. And the only way that's going to happen is if they're absolutely humiliated because it has happened.
And that's something I need to bring up, because as well as that crap happening, which nothing's come of it. Absolutely nothing's come of it. They've just continued. A few people resigned, but
a few people resigned. A few people were sacked. Ashraf Ismail's gone.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened to Escablades, but
that guy's
he had some sexual assault allegations against him. He also apparently stuck somebody's cat in a washing machine.
What the fuck? That's just sick.
Yeah,
that's what's been said. That's all allegedly.
Shit.
So take what I've said with the word allegedly.
Sure.
And tell me that's not disgusting. Just tell me that's not utterly fucking diabolical.
That is just.
I hate to be this guy, but allegedly is not enough to do anything to anyone. It's just he said, she said, but based on the culture and stuff.
But why would it's he said, she said, but why would she say?
Maybe she just doesn't like it.
Who
Maybe
knows,
she's in the dark. I mean, like, we don't know.
But there's weird things that have been corroborated by several people.
Sure,
not this necessarily. This is allegedly, but there are other things like, he did this, and that was really weird with me, or he did this.
The one thing is that it's a weird thing to come up with. That's the only part that gets me.
Yeah.
It's
there's
like,
one thing
who comes up
with
with
very specific.
Yeah, it's very specific.
You can't make that up. It's very specific. It's almost like it happened. Also,
Allegedly.
There's one thing that I found to be really quite funny to do with that, actually. Now, Escablades, apparently, people were bringing up loads of issues with him, and people like, hang on, I lent him money and he never paid me back. And apparently, loads of people were like, yeah, I did the same, and it's the same. And it's like, hang on a minute.
He's just the constant guy. He's like, hey, mate, do you mind if I borrow a fiver? Do you mind if I borrow a fiver? He does that to everybody, and he ends up never paying for a meal.
Right.
Fucking bastard. There is another Ubisoft thing that I wanted to bring up. Also, do you want to say something else as well, Ethan?
No. I think before we stumble upon a lawsuit, it's best that we move on.
Well, there's another Ubisoft thing, and I'm sure you're gonna love to hear about this one.
I'm sure I will.
So, Ubisoft released an update for Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
Yeah.
And in previous games where they allowed transmog, which is where you can change the look of your items that you have and move the stats of one item over to another one just so you can keep the same look.
Yeah. I know where this is going.
They've now put a price tag on that. So in a game that you pay full price, you then have to use in-game currency, which you can then buy using real-world money.
They've put a mechanics manipulation in there rather than a price tag.
Yeah.
So here's what they've done.
They've
added transmog, but you have to take it to Gunnar, the blacksmith, and it costs 50 silver to change a piece of gear to look like something else.
Yes.
Which apparently people are going, oh, maybe it's for immersion. It's like if Ubisoft cared about immersion, they'd have made the game completely different. There wouldn't be a Helix store selling you microtransactions, and also you wouldn't be able to transmog at all because you can't change one armor set to look like another anyway.
Exactly, that's not realistic.
It's not realistic in any sense.
I want to hear
so why try at all in that sense? The reason why they did it is because of the microtransaction store. Now here's the thing, right? Silver in Assassin's Creed Valhalla is easy to come by, at least while you have things to do in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Once you get to a point where you no longer have things to do in the game, it does get a little bit harder.
Mm-hmm.
But that 50 silver a pop changing every piece of gear, after a while, is going to start to add up into a stupid amount.
Also,
the whole and Ubisoft knows their player base. Ubisoft knows their player base can be quite impatient, which is why they've made the game the way they have. Because it doesn't have immersion features, it doesn't have this, it doesn't have that, it doesn't have that. So everything's directly convenient. Otherwise, a lot of players that they've targeted for this sort of game would just not be interested, and that's why that's there. So they've taken to that. They're capitalizing on that because they've got the time savers on the Helix store.
I was just going to say
silver
that.
Time saver packs
They
that are like
increased the XP gap
6,000
and then gave time savers.
For about 2,000 Helix credits,
saver,
which is for 2,000 Helix credits, which is about £15, you can get 6,000 in-game silver.
6,000.
6,000.
That's a lot.
I think
That's
it's
a
6,000.
lot. But for £15,
That's only like 30.
No, it's
gear
not 6,000.
changes.
It might be it's either 6,000 or it's 60,000. I don't know which it is. I think it's 6,000. I'll have to double check at some point.
Because 6,000.
I don't want to get that wrong. Correct me if
sure.
I'm wrong. But do look into it before taking what I'm saying as fact there, because I don't remember. I think it's 6,000 or 60,000. It might be 6,000. I'd hope it was 60,000 because that. But anyway, besides the point. The point is, while that's not worth your money anyway, the whole point of the transmog feature being behind this, fans ask for it, people want it, Ubisoft know that. So let's give them a little inconvenience that will add up with loads of other little inconveniences that might add up that they have done to make the microtransactions seem more attractive.
Yeah.
So they've created a problem to sell you the solution, basically.
Yep.
And they've done this several times. With Odyssey, they did it a lot. They had time savers and XP boost because the level curve was steep and it was also really, really, really grindy. And that's not necessarily a problem with Valhalla, but they've made the grind mandatory. That's all they've done, really, is they've made it so the story's 60 hours long and has loads and loads of stuff that doesn't necessarily feel relevant. Yeah. At least it has some storytelling aspects, but it is there to just mask a grind rather than anything else. And there's an XP boost that's completely redundant in that setting. I don't understand why it exists, but it is there. There are other inconveniences as well that they've done to sell microtransactions. So if you remember in Assassin's Creed 2 or Brotherhood or Revelations, you could dye your outfit. You could change the colour of it. You go to a shop.
I remember
you
this.
go in there, in-game currency, you buy... You buy the outfit dyes with X amount of florins, no microtransactions involved. You've got it, and then you can change to it at any time at a shop, and you don't have to pay for it again.
Yes.
You have to pay for these transmog every time you go back and forth. So that's... Well, I think it's every time you change the look rather than when you revert, which is free. So that will just add up, whereas that's not there in Assassin's Creed 2 Brotherhood Revelations, because there's no incentive to do that, because there's no microtransactions, nothing to gain from inconveniencing the player in such a way that can be irritating. So that's the difference there. And I think when it comes to the difference between what that was and what this is they've taken loads of aspects to bastardize them for the sake of selling money. Another part of that dye outfit thing that I wanted to talk about is the fact that you don't get outfit dyes in Valhalla. You can't dye your outfit, and it has to be the color that it is, and that's that. And the reason why is because on the Helix store they're selling reskins. They're selling reskins.
Yes, they are.
Gear packs. They've sold. I think they've got 2 reskins up there. One's a reskin for the Hidden One set, and one's a reskin for the I don't know what it is, but it's up there. And it's a reskin, and so they've got those reskins, and basically that's what they're doing instead. They're taking out features, they're creating inconveniences, and they're doing it all to sell you solutions. And that's Ubisoft's business model now with Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I can't condone it. I can't support that.
Yeah.
Ubisoft sent me 20,000 Helix credits to show that stuff.
Yeah.
To be like this, and I said to them when I said, I'll take the Helix credits because of course I will.
Yeah.
If I ever see something that's not even worth my money, but I think it'll be funny. And why not? But I will not. I cannot support the in-game store.
That's because you have a bit of integrity, unlike them.
Well, I do now. I might not have done a year or 2 ago.
When you created the 4 pillars,
Right.
Put it this way: I've been sponsored by Red Shadow Legends before, so my integrity is definitely a new thing.
Ooh. Ooh, I wish we would get the Raid Shadow Legends.
You got something. You got the.
We did. They did ask us, but at the time I didn't know anything about sponsorship, so I was like, I don't even know what to do.
You
here.
asked me, and I was like, say yes, but you asked me after they never got back.
It was way past the time. But I would have boned that.
Put it this way: there's a little difference. We won't get into that. Yeah. With Assassin's Creed Valhalla, you have paid $60 for the game.
Yes,
that's what you've done. That's your entry thing, and then you've got to buy extra shit when you're in. Well, it's not forced upon you, but it's
if you want to enjoy the game
in subtle ways. You're inconvenienced. You're annoyed. You're irritated because you haven't caved and bought microtransactions. The model is don't force the player to do it, but create problems and sell them the solutions.
It's a really scummy tactic.
That's why in a game that you've paid $60 for, that has no place. In a free-to-play game, that's fine, I guess.
It's a mobile game tactic.
Yeah, it's a mobile game tactic, and this is the thing: it is
a mobile game tactic. But the issue with I think the issue with that as well is it almost it plays on euphoria. I feel with mobile games a lot, and it uses that high to convince people to sell.
It's a freemium approach to a $70 game.
And so put it this way: although I have been sponsored in the past by Raid Shadow Legends, if they asked me tomorrow to do a video for them, I'd say no, because I don't want to be morally complicit in that. I don't. Yeah. Not anymore. And if I'm going to do that with Ubisoft, say look, I don't want to be morally complicit in what this story is trying to do because I believe it to be wrong. I can't then go ahead and be sponsored by a mobile game tactic. You either take a hard stance against it or you have no point. That's what I think it is now.
Yeah, it's tough to.
Funny we was talking about freemium games and stuff like that because there was one topic here. It's a very short one. It's like there's a whole article on Kotaku if you want to go watch it, if you want to go read it, I should say. Some terrible journalist decided to write about the eggs in Pokemon Go. The eggs in Pokemon Go, if you don't know, you get them when you're casually walking around. You have to put it in something called an incubator, and then you walk around to hatch it like you did in the old Pokemon games. Now, you get one free incubator yourself that never goes away, or you can buy incubators to speed up the process and stuff like that. Anyway, people were saying, the eggs are becoming like loot boxes and stuff like that because you get things out of them and you can purchase ways to make it go quicker and things like that. And this guy goes along and his title is, Pokemon Go eggs are not loot boxes. They're fun presents. That title alone basically gives you an idea of what he says throughout the whole thing.
The worst thing.
Corey Borlaug didn't even like this. He even tweeted at them and he even used the Dr. Evil gif where it's like... Right. And I'm like, if Corey Borlaug says that you're chatting shit, you must be chatting some higher grade shit, you know?
The worst thing
it's one of those things.
The worst thing is that, like, fun presents, you know exactly what he's doing, and that is just shilling for Nintendo's microtransactions. Yes. The other side of that coin is they did it right, which was, we're giving you something. You don't have to have these things. You can just... And you get an incubator. It's an addition. If you want it to go quicker, you can do it. There's no hindrance.
That's the thing.
Like, you can still go and catch all the Pokemon. There is no hindrance. It's extra.
It's not forcing you to do it. That's
they
the thing.
Did it okay,
and but it's an addictive thing.
Yeah, for sure. I still think Fortnite and
they'll
Apex
promote
do it right.
What they'll do,
which is that you get access to. Actually, Apex don't get access to every single character. But you get access to the bulk or the original characters, right? And the only thing that you can do, really, spend any money on is like skins and stuff, pretty much. And I guess unlocking a few extra characters, but I think they're pretty well balanced. Like, Fortnite does it perfectly, which is you have access to the entire game. You can go in, never spend a penny, and just enjoy the game. If you want the cool skins and the cool gliders and to gain XP and get all those cool things showing up on your screen, then, to be honest, actually all you have to do is buy the Battle Pass once.
Battle Pass, and then you get tons. You just have to play the game to get the rewards on top.
Right, exactly.
And it's like, and I mean, fair enough, because the game's free to begin with, and then you have all these things inside. It's a little bit different to what Ubisoft is doing, which is selling you the game.
Exactly.
And then using the same tactics.
And that's why I really like Fortnite as a model. I think they have it spot on, plus the game's kind of fun.
But they aren't the same thing.
Yeah.
They aren't the same model.
Absolutely.
Of course it's not equal. Yeah. You can't compare Fortnite to Assassin's Creed or Raid Shadow Legends to Assassin's Creed or even to Fortnite.
I mean, I'm not comparing...
They all employ the same model but different ways.
I'm not comparing them to each other. I'm comparing...
I'm not criticising your point.
Yeah,
I'm just saying, generally speaking, what would be okay for Fortnite is not necessarily okay for a AAA game.
I want to talk about the very last topic because we have been going a bit long here, and I want to try and wrap this up after this and whatnot.
Yeah. I've got a stream in half an hour, so
we're gonna have to really do this and whatnot. There are some comments, but they're not strictly to do with this, so we're gonna bring them in the next episode and whatnot. We promise. Cool. Thank you very much for writing. So the final topic, this popped just as we was about to go live. The next generation VR for the PlayStation 5, the thing we're calling PSVR 2, even though that's not the confirmed name just yet. They were talking about the innovative, amazing, revolutionary controllers that are going to go with it,
which we called,
and we was like, this is going to be cool finger tracking, and they've shown them off for the first time. I'll send you this link in Discord.
I saw these.
You saw them? Yeah. Okay, that's good. I'll send it anyway, but you can.
Of course, send it anyway. But I did see it. I didn't look into it, but I did see.
They look really, really cool, in my opinion.
They do look cool.
They're like these hand grab things, and then there's like a
gauntlet.
Yeah, and there's like an orb around your hand. It's so cool looking. And I've read all the stuff that's going on in this, and it does sound like it's a really cool controller.
First of all, take getting used to that, but I like that. That's nice.
It looks cool. Great. As a person who's got the PSVR 1 and the One things, this looks like a massive step up, especially because it's got
I've never been one for VR. I've never really tried it.
You should give it a try.
Racing games.
Yeah, don't do racing games. Don't do racing games. They're just insta vomit. But
I'll tell you what, I'll give it a try, just for you, Eddie.
Give it a try, especially when the PSVR 2 comes out, because it looks like it's going to be amazing.
Yeah, I bet.
The controller, I'll give you some headlines. Adaptive triggers.
I just need some room for it.
You need a bit of space. Adaptive triggers,
I have none.
Like the...
I have a garden.
Well, you can do it over there. Adaptive triggers, just like the DualSense controller. It's going to have that tension and the feedback on the triggers. Really cool. Haptic feedback, really cool. So you're going to be able to feel like genuine movements inside the controllers. It says here as well, you can feel the textures of stuff and the nuances and stuff like that. Could be really, really cool right there. I can imagine that if you got a flamethrower or something like that, and your hand starts to vibrate a little bit, like you're really exploding in your hand.
There is some, no.
It could be really cool.
Makes you feel like something's going on.
Exactly. Yeah. It's got finger touch detection, so that orb thing around the controller is actually a high tech sensor, which it detects what fingers you're lifting on and off the controller, so you can do really cool things in VR, like grab things with your index finger and your thumb or something like that,
like individual shells from a gut and
that's really cool.
So damn cool.
No, that's cool. That might just sell me on the entire concept of VR.
Right?
Fuck it. I hope these things don't get scalped.
Talking of,
fucking hell, right?
I think they're less widely adopted, so it should be okay.
Yeah, even the normal PSVR is like 5 million versus 100 million PS4s.
I had said about the VR in general, but the PSVR that it's a good first step, but it's not there yet. VR just isn't there. And then you showed me, I think it was a Batman detective game. I mean, you spoke my language for it, but dude, it was way better than I was expecting it to be. And that's just the 4-year-old
I've heard good things about VR. My brother likes it. My brother's really into that stuff.
It's cool.
I haven't really spoken to him about it. I don't speak to him very often. He lives across the country from me. So there you go. And obviously with COVID and stuff, I haven't had the chance. But maybe I'll ask him about VR stuff, because he likes his VR business.
It's cool. Especially cool. Obviously the PC headsets are a lot more high quality and a lot more high powered, but then you need a beast rig to run it, which I know you're scrounging for money, being the biggest YouTuber in the world and whatnot. But if you have a PS4 and you have a PlayStation VR unit, perfectly acceptable, and it's a good easy entry point into getting into.
It's the
VR.
right price point, and the equipment required, which is basically a PS4 Pro, is probably the place to go.
Probably, yeah.
Is pretty cheap these days, and you can get into it, and it's actually pretty good. By the time the PSVR 2 comes out and we have PS5s, at least we 3 do, mate, I think it's going to be very compelling for VR.
2 more things as well to mention on that.
Oh, what's the Xbox competitor for VR? With those VR controllers, because we know that Xbox like to be pro-consumer and... Crickets. Oh, they're not keeping up to date. What about the updates they made to their audio to keep pace with the PlayStation 3D audio?
Do you actually want to hear something funny about that? They released a brand new headset, and every one of the reviews that came out, they're going, it's a very good headset. It's a good quality. It's made by Microsoft. It doesn't compare to anything that PlayStation's doing, because even without the 3D, so the Pulse headset with the 3D audio on the PS5 just knocks it out of the park. And I was like, everyone said that? Everyone?
Right.
There you go.
What about the controller though?
There you go.
They didn't do anything. They just put the
there we
controller.
go. But they're pro-consumer guys. Don't forget. Pro-consumer.
Two things, as I mentioned, that I want to add to this as well. Yeah. The tracking, it says, which was before, it was a light orb on top of the controllers, which was terrible tracking, but it worked enough. The tracking on this one, it says, the VR controller is tracked by the new VR headset through the tracking ring across the bottom of the controller.
Let me pause you right there. You freaking called it. You straight up, like 2 months ago, you were like, I bet it will use something in the headset to track where your hands are, blah, 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 so you don't need the camera. And I was like, I don't know, but I guess maybe if they put it into the headset, I'm not sure. No, you were 100% right.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. Yeah. I called that just out of nowhere.
Look, here's the thing. All the pattern leaks, we call it. And it comes out and we're right.
Yeah.
We did it for Justice League. We called it. It came out exactly like we said, literally to the scene. And then you pretty much came out and said this. And I said, well, what if they do the haptic thing so you can use your fingers? We freaking called it.
Yeah.
You're welcome. It's why you subscribe, boys.
Subscribe to patreon.com/conversations. Oh, there as well. You need to subscribe there. And then the final thing they said, it's got action buttons and analog sticks, which is only really important to people who had PSVR 1, because the buttons, these controllers were from the PS3, so they weren't built for this device, and they didn't have analog sticks on them, so it was really weird to move around in. It's big news for me. Everyone else probably sees it. Okay, that's just a good design and whatnot. But the rest of the stuff, all is incredible, and it seems like it's poised to be a really good controller. So long as the headset matches it and it's not super expensive, this thing could be great.
Yeah, if the headset comes in, if this whole bundle comes in at like, what do we really think it's going to cost? Predictions.
The previous one cost $349 when it came out.
I was going to say,
if they say $349,
well, it depends on how
the
technology's come along.
Yeah,
it depends on how expensive it is to make.
With all the haptic stuff. Although that said,
I reckon
a DualSense
similar mark.
Yeah, because the DualSense 5 is about what a DS4 cost.
Yeah,
and it is a massive improvement.
So much more in there, isn't it?
So, mate, for $349, $399, somewhere in there.
I reckon similar mark.
It's not bad,
and it'll be cheaper than whatever else is on the market. The other stuff
for a
is
real
like
VR and an actual rig that can run it.
800. Yeah, no,
exactly.
I've seen it.
Even the cheapest one I think is $399, but then you need a beast rig to go along with it. So you need like a £600 graphics card. And there's no point.
On Chill Blast, when I had my PC custom built, I ordered it via Chill Blast, and there were several VR options I could have gone for with that. But obviously, since I'm not necessarily too keen on VR, at least I haven't. It's never something that's occurred to me as something that I need to necessarily get my hands into. They just offered them for like 800 quid. So I think the cheapest was around 400, and then it went up to like 1,000 odd.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, no, that's just $1,000 I don't need to spend.
Yeah.
And well, it was $1,000 I needed to spend, just not on my PC. I bought a car.
There you go.
Condoms and lube for the glove compartment.
Right.
Exactly.
No, I bought the good old Astra, and it does me well.
Yeah. But apparently your Astra's got a lot of shit on it. I don't know what that's all about, but
well, birds keep shitting on it. They look at it and go voxel, bam, shit.
Do you know what? It's something to do with white cars. When I had my white car, constant shit on it. Constant shit on it.
Oh wow, yeah, is it? Yeah. Right, okay. When I change, I'll get a black one and see if it still happens.
I don't know what colour's the best, but next time I buy a car, I'm going to research. I'm going to be like,
what colour car?
Mint green.
Shit on you.
I have a question. Your car right now is black,
burnt orange.
Yes, it is. Yes.
Burnt.
Does it get shat on a lot?
Not a lot. Not as much as the white car did. So there is definitely a difference there.
Although you're not parked quite
I'll take that.
Place.
I'll take that. There is a smeared green shit down the side of my car at the moment.
Maybe it's just like a homeless guy that doesn't like you nearby.
It could be.
Yeah, who says
why is he shitting green? What is he, 6 months old?
He's homeless. He doesn't get a choice of what to eat, okay?
Right.
Anyway,
shit,
guys.
Clearly.
That is unfortunately all the time that we've got for this podcast. It's been a great one. I do love the chaos that Ethan brings whenever he comes to our podcast and whatnot.
I think I did okay to keep it in check today. Fuck you,
fuck you, there we go. To be honest, if you listen to the Four Pillars podcast, which you should do, click links in the description. It's a very big difference. I think he did do quite well for us. He held it,
toned it down a lot. Yeah.
I didn't hear him mention.
No, don't even mention it.
Not the N word that you're thinking, but the N-O-N-C. Anyway, I'm not going to spell it.
Oh, yeah.
He mentions that a lot. And don't say it, goddammit.
Why do you bring it up? You're the worst at this.
It's like, don't think of cows. Oh, cows!
You're gonna get both the YouTube and the Twitch deleted.
There you go.
Before I even get a chance to stream.
I don't. Oh yeah, no. I need to be careful with that word on Twitch, don't I?
Yeah,
I think you do. Yeah.
I don't understand why Twitch would care about the word nonce. Like
I mean,
YouTube doesn't. YouTube doesn't. I've tried and tested this the hard way. Trust me, YouTube does not care if you use it. It depends on context.
YouTube is so Twitch is a weird one. You can say all kinds of stuff, like you can swear with the F word and stuff like that.
But blind playthrough, that's where we draw the line.
Blind. No, don't say that.
Right.
No, don't say that
word.
It's weird.
Don't say blind. Don't say you're going in blind. That's offensive to blind people who are definitely watching.
Exactly.
That's or don't use the word disabled. Don't say it. Don't say it. Don't. If you say it, I will chef you up.
I'm gonna wrap this up before we just continue going for another half an hour. Guys, thank you so much for tuning into another episode of the True Gamer Podcast. Thank you for all of your support. Thank you for everything you do, the likes, the shares, the 5-star ratings on podcast services. It's all really, really awesome. Thank you, Ethan, again for joining us for this episode. We love having you on. It's awesome.
Don't forget to check out Ethan's links and all of our links as well.
I said it. Sorry.
It's
an absolute pleasure, as it usually is. There we go.
Don't say the other word. Don't say
like
that.
Usual. Yeah.
Like usual.
Yeah.
Exactly right.
Like usual. That's the one. It's an absolute pleasure. Like usual.
There we go. Thank you everybody for joining us. We'll catch you all in the next one. Yeah. See ya, boys. Gamers.
Bye-bye.
Out. Super. Out. Gamers.
We're so cool.
I don't know. All right. Guys.